Hey everybody, how's it going? I was not punctual this time. I just noticed that I'm like almost 5 minutes late. Sorry about that, guys. How y'all doing? What's your scent of the days and what's you smelling like? I've been testing and wearing a bunch of my fragrances. I actually have La Yucawan by Rasasi, who just came in, and that's my scent of the day. And I'm just wearing a tiny bit of it, and I do have to say that's a little bit has a dry quality about it. At least to me, I've never heard anybody mention the dry quality about that fragrance, but it's pretty good. I don't want to ruin my reviews, so I gotta keep y'all in suspense a little bit. But it's pretty good. How y'all doing though? Hey everybody, who's here? I see three people. Um, I'm sorry about yesterday not going live yesterday. There was a bunch of great lives going on, and honestly, I didn't want to try to interfere with them. You know, sometimes there's a bunch of great people doing lives. There's a bunch of good things going on. It's happened to me on Instagram Live, where I usually get on at 10 a.m. Central. Hey there, Fragdicted. Hey there, Ronald. How y'all doing? Happy evening. Yeah, it's wrapping up around here. It's getting to be the evening, and a little bit of shade. I was doing a lot of yard work. Our burn pile has a bunch of green wood on it, and I tried to burn that down with a bunch of cardwood and stuff today. It just doesn't want to go. We poured oil on it. We poured gasoline on it. If I don't know if y'all have lived in subtropical areas where it's so humid, sometimes it's really hard to burn stuff in the, you know, if it hasn't, if we don't get rain for a week, at times people think it's a drought. If we don't have rain for like 2 weeks, people start really worrying. That's how it is in the South. It's very humid and very wet, usually, like kind of like Florida. Scent of the day is Aqua di Gio Profumo. That's a great fragrance. It smells great. It seems to get. I don't know about the reactions, but it seems to be a big crowd favorite. I've been tempted to get it, but I don't know if I need it. I have so many fragrances. I have too many fragrances already for my own good. But that's a really good versatile scent, no doubt about it. You could wear it anywhere, anytime, and I can see why it hits top 10 lists pretty regularly. I mean, for the money, it's a pretty darn good one. Even though it's a little bit more expensive than I guess regular Aqua di Gio. Bravius, hey, how you doing? And how you doing, Ronald? Dean says into the Guerlain l'Homme Ideal Eau de Toilette. Yeah, that's a great scent. And I'm sure that y'all have heard the news, but that fragrance is discontinued. It's in the Guerlain line. It's being replaced by the Guerlain Ideal Cool. Uh, Gent Sense has been very helpful with letting people know about that. But if you don't know, the price has crept up. I think in order to get like a 50 mil, it's usually around $30 now. You'd be lucky if you found 100 mil for about 40. Sometimes they do pop up. Sometimes you can get lucky and still get like 100 mils for 40 odd dollars. But the price is creeping up, and a lot of people seem to really like that one. So, uh, if you have to have a backup bottle, if you like some of these fragrances, get a backup bottle. I don't know if y'all want to talk about that today. I had a discussion about that on my Instagram, but I personally don't buy backup bottles. I have so many fragrances that I buy and then sell, and there's so many new things to explore. Some fragrances are near and dear to my heart. I probably always want to smell them, but I just don't go through bottles that often. It's a rare occasion that I wear an entire bottle of fragrance. It's just not something that happens very often, and there's always something new and fun to try. So that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what y'all think about that. Do y'all have backup bottles? And if you do have backup bottles, how big is your collection? Do you have are some of y'all more of signature scent type of people, or some of y'all like big collectors? I know some of y'all out there have hundreds, if not 500, or even 1,000 bottles. So it gets crazy out there. Um, Fragdicted says scent of the day is the Chronic. Great choice, my friend. Very likable fragrance to me. I don't know why, but that one and Mula Mula are like feel good fragrances. They make you feel good. They make you feel happy, and I don't know why, but that's a fun fragrance. Honestly, I'd have a really hard time suggesting that one or Instant Crush by Mansara to people. I'm not sure which one is more likable. Y'all have to let me know what you feel about that one. Would you choose the Chronic? by Byron, or would you choose something like Instant Crush? Or even Baccarat Rouge 540, would you choose Baccarat Rouge 540? Josan, hey, how you doing, my friend? What you wearing? What's your scent of the day? Scent of the night, even. Where depending on where you live. London by Gallivant. Yeah, Gallivant's getting some love. I see a lot of people like Gallivant or Gallivant. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. I'm not trying to be overtly bougie over here, but London. I do have a Discovery set. I've smelled their original releases or their first releases, and I need to try them again and give them some time. I don't think I've reviewed them. I've reviewed a couple houses, like some of the fragrances from the Harmonist, but I haven't posted all the reviews or done all of them. Uh, there's so many samples. There's so many fragrances to review. Y'all have to let me know which brands y'all are interested in seeing. Maybe what are the most important, like from my haul videos. I still have samples backed up to review. I still have a couple lists and odds and ends. And then I can start getting to my haul. And I actually have a big haul video. When I have a couple fragrances that are still trickling in. I buy periodically, like every month or two, and then I'll put together a big haul, another haul video for y'all. But I really got to slow down with my spending, guys. I'm probably going to try to buy more decants and then start saving up for niche. Maybe every 3 or 4 months I might buy a niche fragrance. It's just that I have a big collection. At least for me, I'm not a collector. I do try to wear or like to feel that I'm wearing all of my fragrances. And I'm kind of getting to the point where I've tried or bought most of the designer fragrances I've always wanted, and that's a part of my fragrance journey. I know everybody has a different way about going about their fragrance journey, but I've been dabbling in niche and indie, and now I'm finally getting to the point where there's only 5 or so designer fragrances I still got to get or try or maybe buy that have been released so far. And then I'm not going to ignore designer. I'm not going to discredit them. I still love cheapies. I still will talk about cheapies, and some of the best affordable fragrances and value is definitely very important to me, and helping y'all find great fragrances for the money. So, but for me personally, in the future, I probably will be looking forward to buying some more niche. Renaissance by Xerjoff is a fragrance, a holy grail for me. I've always wanted Renaissance by Xerjoff. And they have like a starlight fragrance I really want to try. That might be something very special for me. But let me know, how do y'all feel about that? Let me see here. Catch up with the comments. Oh wow, I started it. I didn't start automatically for me. You need to a countdown counter. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do that little preview. There's the preview option where it like times down from like 10 to 1 or whatever it is. I usually don't do those unless it's like a big celebration video. I don't know if I'm gonna do one for the 3,000 or the 4,000. I've kind of been tempted to just wait to the 5,000, and if whenever we get there, I don't know when that is, and then kind of do a giveaway then. I do want to give back to y'all. I do have samples and things I get and things I would like to share, but I don't want to make my channel about like motivating y'all to comment or get involved just because of samples. And I'm not trying to call out other reviewers. I don't know where their heart is, but I don't want y'all here. I do want y'all here, but I want it to be because y'all like the content, not because y'all want freebies. Um, oh wow, I started it. I didn't start automatically. Scent of the day is YSL YEDP. I need to try that one. I tried the EDT and I forget. I must have tried a couple YSL Ys. I need to see if I can find one that I like. The new O or the O version. It sounds like it doesn't have much of the original DNA. I'm a funny person, For me, Sauvage didn't work for me, and the original YSL YEDT didn't work for me either. I know everybody has a fragrance that just doesn't work for them. For me personally, I don't understand the love for YSL YEDT. I've talked about it a little bit. It smells like a watery, candied ginger thrown in a pot and heated up with a little bit of water, and maybe a little bit of that blue shampoo vibe. That's what I get. What do y'all get out of that fragrance? I would love a backup bottle for everything to keep at the office. I get no longevity for anything. I feel you there. I do like convenience. I sometimes leave cheapies or fragrances that I don't really worry about going bad, or fragrances that I just don't wear too often. In the car, I'll leave one or two fragrances for emergencies if I forget a fragrance, or it just makes me feel nice if I ever do want to refresh. Going somewhere, you know, I do have the opportunity to wear a good fragrance. So, but I feel you. I don't know if any of y'all do tools or if any of y'all are into crafts. I'm into woodworking. I almost wish that I could have tons of tools and I could have one like a setup with different sanding paper and different bits, so I didn't have to change them out all the time. But I feel you there. See, I think anybody saying they get 6 to 8 hours longevity is lying. Are they fooling themselves? Um, do you mean in general with any fragrance? Have you tested any long-lasting fragrances, or which fragrances have you been buying? My skin, and at least as far as I can tell, is about average. I sometimes I get less than some people, and sometimes I get more. And I've worn fragrances on my skin that have lasted me like 24 hours. Um, I guess it depends on what fragrance you have or your skin chemistry. I don't know what kind of temperatures you live in or the environment. I live in a kind of humid environment. It's a little bit hot, but it is humid, and you know, Rogba by Latafa, and there's fragrances out there. Mansaras have done it. Montal fragrances, and there's other fragrances out there for longevity, and they've just been ridiculous. So that's just my experience. Let me know which fragrances don't perform on you. Any idea about the beauty of Capri by Dolce Gabbana? I've been tempted to blind buy it. You can go to you probably already know, but Fragrantica, and read other people's opinions on it. I've been tempted to get into it and the Volcano version, but I just haven't blind bought them yet. I've tried to stop myself from blind buying. I do it way too often, and then it's risky, and then I have to sell fragrances and lose a bunch of money. But for me, so far, my favorite is the Swimming in Lipari. If you want a salty Ambroxan type of fragrance, something that smells like an ocean breeze, Swimming Lipari, I think, is great stuff. So, scent of the day is gray flannel, keeping it classy 1980s. I think I dislike the fragrance, but I'm getting used to the post opening. Well, my friend, wear what you love. Sometimes we do grow into fragrances, but uh, just because people like it, or I don't know if anybody's told you you should like it, don't try to convince yourself. For me personally, gray flannel is a fragrance I cannot stand, but I know some people like it. Some people like Jupe out there. We're all different fragrance lovers. We're all different fragrance enthusiasts, and it's a beautiful thing. We can all be friends and explore fragrances with each other. That's what this is all about. I think, if anybody has, fights or struggles, even some of these big reviewers who fight each other, we got a lot more similarities than we do differences. I don't think we should fight about fragrance, but yeah, that's it's a funny world, my friend. Yeah, I don't know if you heard my opinion, but I don't like that one. Like it's the Silver Scent by Bogart is just another scent that I could not stand at all. Hey Centurion, hey everybody, hey, how you doing, my friend? Happy to see you. Y'all know about Centurion. He's a cool gent over there. He's got a good YouTube channel. Dean says, "What designers do you want to try or buy?" One of them that's really been on my eye that I want to blind buy is the Prada Amber Intense, the one in the black bottle. I've tried the regular version. It was a little bit lavender like, and very soapy and very kind of powdery to my nose. But I really do want to find a Prada that I like in my collection. A lot of people, seem to find a couple of them that they like. I thought Prada Extreme was pretty good, but I don't know. There's not a lot of them that I really love. So I'm hoping that'll be the one. Another one is Yves Saint Laurent, uh, the Le Parfum version. Some people have been speaking really highly of it. The Fragrance Apprentice, it's one of his favorites, it seems. It's, if it's pretty good for the money. If it has similar performance to Tom Ford Noir Extreme, which is a kind of a soft, seductive, um, kind of like a date night, fragrance, intimate kind of fragrance, I would like it. I think I would really like it, but I haven't had good experience with Yves Saint Laurent designers, so we'll have to see how those go. I have a list. Uh, I got to keep some of them to myself. Frank Dicted says, I have worn 100 different fragrances so far this year. The most I've ever worn is one. Um, the most you've ever worn, one of them is 5 times so far. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of fragrances. If you have a big collection, um, if you have 100 fragrances, you might, especially if you're dealing with samples and decants, you might wear that fragrance like maybe once a year. So that could, if you're deep into fragrances, if you have more than 100 bottles, in my opinion, you got to get super picky about fragrances. You got to really think about the fragrances you want, and maybe even buy decants, maybe even buy the smaller bottle, or split with somebody or something. Because for me, you could spend your money on a lot of things, besides letting fragrance just sit in your house or wherever you live. It's it's a lot. It gets expensive, and you don't have to have the bottle. I think us as the fragrance community is getting away that you can seem respectable. You can seem like you're a fragrance reviewer. You don't have to have the whole bottle and the whole presentation, even though it is nice. I do see the value and the assumption that you paid for it and that you actually like it because you own it. I mean, I guess that's the premise some people want to see. But if you're a fragrance reviewer, you can't own every fragrance in the world. I wish I had that kind of money to buy every fragrance I came across and just blind buy it. But you'd have to be awfully wealthy to be able to afford that. And I certainly am not. Let's see here. Don't forget your roots. The reviewers who overhyped niche are okay, but give the shopping mall fragrances attention. I'll never forget designers. Every year, I will look to designers, even though a lot of them don't, especially the blue fragrances, they don't have a lot of originality. But there are good designer releases every year. I won't become a niche snob. I've never been that way. I've always reviewed, cheapies. I've always looked for great values in fragrances, and I've always tried to showcase the great values in fragrances. One of them I tried to showcase recently was Dunhill Century. That was a fragrance. When it came out, they priced it a little bit higher at Dunhill for some reason. It is a little bit higher quality in my opinion. It's like a sweet, smooth sandalwood fragrance. It's a little bit linear, and I think it's way better than Santal 33, especially because it's discounted now. It's not very popular. It might be getting discontinued. I got the big bottle, the 4.5 ounce bottle, which I think retails for, I think like $110 or $120 was the retail price, and I got it for $29 shipped to my door, which is an unbelievable value. And I probably will never get through that whole bottle. And I think the bottle's nice. It has a magnetic cap, and there's some good deals out there. There's some great deals, don't for sure. So yeah, I definitely won't become a niche snob. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. Frag Dicted says, "Hey Scott, hey Frag Dicted, y'all are awesome people, man. I watch your lives. I really enjoy your lives, Frag Dicted. Y'all are some good, honest people, and I love watching you. I love watching your content. You're cool people." Centurion says, "Hey Tony, yeah, I can't stay too long. I need to catch up on some sleep." Well, Frag Dicted, I wish you the very best over the other side of the pond. Be safe, my friend, and be well. If I look a little bit tired, I've been doing a lot of yard work. It was really hot, and then I tried to do a bonfire, and which makes you even hotter and even sweatier. So I am a little bit tired, and I probably am going to take a second shower today before I start trying to relax and go to sleep tonight. So I feel you, my friend. I feel you. A countdown timer so we know when the video is starting, not for freebies. Uh, no, I know. It's called the premiere. So you want me to do a premiere? So there's a little countdown. I can start doing that on my live videos. Is that something y'all want? I can do it. You need your energy for tomorrow, Tony. What's going on tomorrow? Is a winky face? What suspicious activity is going on here? I don't even know. Is this Fight Club? Is this a inside secret? I don't know about. Bought Club de Nuit. Mi. Which one is that? Is that the special edition? Is that the Millesime Imperial version? What is that one called? The club is that what is it called? It has a funny name. It's in a golden bottle. I hope it lives up to the hype. Let me know if it is. If you got the Millesime Imperial clone, let me know if it's any good because I know a lot of people frown upon clones, but sometimes you find some of them that would just work, and they're kind of like a better interpretation, or they're even longer lasting. Like for me personally, the Ophnon Supremacy in Heaven is like Silver Mountain Water by Creed, but it takes away the inkiness. I didn't like the inkiness in the dry down. I didn't really like the black currant. I think it stuck out a little bit too much in the composition, and it kind of blends the white florals a little bit better in the fragrance. It is a little bit more linear. Some people might say it's not as interesting, but the longevity is outstanding. The value is outstanding, and for like a clean, sophisticated, like an office fragrance or going out and about and smelling clean, and also having a tiny bit of that metallic, interesting edge. I think Ophnon Supremacy in Heaven is outstanding. So, um, yeah, I won't get snobby against the clones either, but I know some people have different opinions on that, but I respect everybody. So, um, Fragdicted says, haha, yep, I do. Almost the same with YSLY EDT, a watery shampoo or fruity body wash. Yeah, I got like a little bit of that blue shampoo type of vibe, but I did get this like little bit of like a candied ginger type of vibe in the background. It was a little bit linear, and I felt like it smelled kind of odd. It didn't work on me. It wasn't a smell that I enjoyed, and that's one of those fragrances for personally when I first smelled it, and I heard all the hype, and I was like, "What?" It's like one of those moments you're like, "What? Why do people like this? What is going on here? What's wrong with me?" And then you start quite second guessing yourself. You're like, "What's wrong with me?" It was the same way with commodity fragrances. I bought a sample set, a discovery set with like 12 of them, and I tried them all. And there was like two of them that were somewhat decent. I think I thought Rain and what was it like Book were like okay, but I still wouldn't buy them. And the rest of them, I was like, I I don't get this house. I don't know why people. I mean, if you get a great deal for $40 or some even cheaper for a bottle, and you love having something that's discontinued or something like that. I mean, more power to you, but um, it's like I didn't get it. I don't get it. Let's see here. Banjo, Lucas Poe. People gonna start calling me Banjo. There's a little like questionnaire that Stefan Fragrance. I don't know if y'all know Stefan, but shout out to Stefan Fragrance. He's an awesome guy. I got to do another shout out video. Maybe I'll. I don't. I think I've shouted you out before, Stefan. But I should put you on the front of that because you're like. Sometimes I feel like you're like me. We don't get enough attention or the YouTube algorithm. I don't know what's going on here, but you got a big personality and you're likable and Stefan's awesome. So, but anyways, one of the names I've gone by in the past is Banjo. It was actually at college, and this for some reason I think she was flirting with me in an indirect way. It didn't work out very. It didn't. I don't know. We weren't really a good match. But she was like a tall blonde, and I guess she thought I was a little bit country, and I guess country in her mind connected with banjos because of bluegrass music with banjos. So she called me Banjo sometimes, just joking and teasing me. And some of y'all pick that up. Y'all think it's funny. Everybody's gonna start calling me Banjo. Hey, Banjo. Have y'all tried Hoctavat by Nishane? More like an old school Ventus, perhaps the Oak Moss. Yeah, Hoctavat is a great fragrance by Nishane. It is smokier, and the Oak Moss definitely does come out. It definitely is a little bit closer to maybe what the old school Aventus was. Old school Aventus, there are some smoky batches of 2014, if I remember right, but the smoky batches, there was some. I mean, there were some very smoky 2014, if I remember, but I think the smokiest was like late 2013. There was a time where Aventus kind of was like the smoke king, and Aventus has really changed. I don't want to beat up and talk about Aventus every time I get on a live, but yeah, Octovat's a good alternative. Orion by Tenzion Terenzi is also a pretty good alternative to Aventus if you want something a little bit different. Maybe something that smells a little bit, off the beaten path just a little bit, and you really do like that Aventus DNA. So Fragdicted, it waves to Luke, and Luke is awesome. And hey, fellas, hey, Lucas Poe. The miss gets cuts my hair today, gents. Oh, what kind of haircut? What kind of damage are we doing, my Fragdicted? What's going on, man? That's crazy. I hope it goes well. Is she good? Is she a hairdresser, or is she a little bit wild with the trimmers? I got a black market haircut yesterday. Ooh, black market, shady business, criminal man. I'm just kidding. No, I actually sometimes cut my own hair, but I do go sometimes. I'm not under lockdown where I live, so I'm not constrained or anything. But yeah, I feel you. Some of those people out there who can't, the necessity. I mean, I guess a haircut's not really a necessity, but I mean, I guess the things that we used to consider essential, it's still hard to get. Bravus is hey, my friend, how you doing? How close is Noir Squeeze to Pure Tonka? Pure Tonka by Guerlain, right? I don't know. It was a good fragrance. It did have that kind of boozy quality. It did smell rich. It did come off kind of feminine to me. To me, it felt a little bit more feminine, and it felt a little bit rich, like a richer, smoother, maybe even higher quality version of the dry down of By the Fireplace. It felt a little bit more like that in comparison to Pure Tonka. But if I ended up selling it. I actually sold it for about the same price I got it for, and then I had to pay eBay fees and shipping. So of course you always lose money. And I sold that fragrance pretty much dirt cheap. It was barely sprayed, and that stuff retails for like 160 bucks. I sold it for a lot less than half, a lot less than half of that. But anyways, I mean, I'm just picky. I'm just picky. Some of y'all are gonna love that fragrance. For me, it was a little bit more of like a date fragrance, a little bit of a cuddle fragrance, and a lot of the time I like a little bit more of intense fragrances. A lot of the times for me personally, I like smokier, darker fragrances that feel a little bit more masculine. Recently, I got La Yukawam in the mail, and that's one of those that's ladies have bought it, and I'm not trying to put them down. And the lady reviewers are awesome, but I think it's important for lady reviewers. I know that gender. Some people don't see anything in gender, but they just said it was like too strong, or they just said it was like too aggressive. I think that some of these ladies, if you're wearing scents that are marketed more towards men, that feel comfortable with saying it feels too masculine for you, or it doesn't connect to you as personally, or something to that effect. I still kind of am always bothered by a certain lady reviewer, and she said that Fan Your Flames essentially wasn't a good fragrance by Nichane. Fan Your Flames by Nichane is an amazing fragrance, but it does some ladies might get tricked because it has coconut in it. They might think it's playful. They might think it's going to be a vanillic fragrance, or something that's easygoing. It's quite the intense fragrance, in the dry down, especially the tobacco really comes through in the fragrance, and the tobacco really pops up, and it just comes off as a fragrance that to me feels masculine. So that's just my feelings. That's just my opinion. I just lost a bunch of people. Is somebody else doing a live? I don't know what's going on. Let's see here. You'll see tomorrow. Okay. When's your live? Are you getting a haircut live? You, I'm gonna pressure you now. You got to do your haircut live for us. What's going on here? You're teasing us. What about Portrait of a Lady by Frederick Malle? I don't know if I forget if I've tried a sample. I might have, but I have tried a clone of it. it was very well done. I can see where people think it's artistic and well composed and all of that. I respect the fragrance, but it definitely is probably going to be appreciated more by people who are into the art of fragrance, who have a big collection. If you like designers, and if you're maybe a macho guy, sometimes I sometimes feel like I want fragrances that do feel masculine. Uh, it's not for me, but I do respect it's very well composed. It's very well done, and definitely is likable. Definitely, I would say it's unisex, but I don't know. Some people out there might feel that it leans a little bit feminine, but guys, you can't pull it off. Don't be scared of it. Give it a try, especially if you like those types of fragrances. Wear what you love. I mean, rock what you got. If that's your deal, if that's what you love, do it. Whoo boy, whoa, what's going on? The suspense is too much, Tony. You know how to build up an event. Tony is all hype up these days. I can't wait for the interview, Jezza tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be fun. A lot of good stuff going on, man. Barry does. I need some funny questions tomorrow. Funny. We'll have to think of some. We'll have to think of something in the moment. Any ideas, Luke and Scott? I don't know. I always get some crazy questions in my mind, like Joey Cannoli questions. I'm always getting afraid of those small samples or bottles don't last. I get no projection, so I burn through the juice. Well, um, what kind of fragrances are you wearing? Are you buying lighter, fresher, blue designer fragrances? Or are you buying heavier, richer fragrances? Do you ever try anything smoky or anything gourmand? Have you, I don't know, bought any like Club de Nuit Intense Man? Do you not get 8 hours plus out of that Club de Nuit Intense Man? Best way to enjoy perfume is to have your friend wear it while you're walking. Also, Casey, I don't know if you saw my fragrance video about how to apply fragrance. I used to do it to myself. I used to actually give fragrances, and I mean, I'll admit, to my imperfections. There's a lot of fragrance reviews I've done, and they actually probably have an extra hour, maybe 2 hours of performance. It's because I was spraying around my neck area, and that's like your core. That's like the hottest part of your body. And it makes the fragrance project, and you're funneling or forcing the fragrance into your nose, and your nose, can go nose blind. It is a scientific thing. Whenever you expose yourself to a high concentration of a smell, and your body, it might consider it obnoxious or might consider it like a norm. You can't filter out the smell. So my dad's been guilty of it. He loves Aventus. He's crazy about Aventus, and he's had Holy Grail batches of Aventus, and he sometimes said that they don't perform on him, and he's put on like 10 sprays, and I've told him, there's been times I've if I come by and his office, and I can actually fit. I almost like felt like the fragrance, like a waterfall, was pouring out of his door in his office, because the fragrance was just pouring out, like the smell and the sillage. And he's like, I can't smell it. And I'm like, Dad, it's pouring out of your office like it's a waterfall. It's like a tidal wave, and it's like gonna blow me down because it's so strong. But yeah. I would definitely like maybe spray your fragrance on some clothes and come back a day later and see if you can smell them on your clothes. And depending on how strong the fragrance is on your clothes, maybe that's a way you can start to maybe judge the longevity of a fragrance. Also, tester strips, but skin chemistry is an issue. I always think it's best to spray on the skin. For me, I recommend spraying on the elbows, maybe on the sides of your neck or behind your neck, and also like your knees or maybe even your sides. So the fragrance can really spread out and you can enjoy the fragrance. And also, people notice it a little bit more. It'll spread around you if you're spraying your elbows when you walk past people, when you're around people. It's gonna give you a little bit more, I guess, range with your fragrance. It's a funny way to think about it, but that's the truth. That's the truth, my friends. Let me see. Let's see. What size of bottles are the smallest you recommend? I'm bad about buying full size bottles, but a lot of niche fragrances, like high end niche, will give you a 30 ml option. If you have a huge collection, and you know that it's a unusual fragrance or a special fragrance for certain occasions, or an artistic fragrance or something like that, you might not even wear 30 mils. You'd be probably happy with 30. So definitely do that. You can also get into some of these decanting services, like Luxury Scent Box and the like, and get some decants that way. Some 8, 9, 10 mil decants. MyFragranceSamples.com is legit, and the Fragrance Decant Boutique. I saw somebody on Facebook, and I think they bought from some no-name sample store. I'm sure that there are legitimate sample stores here and there that pop up, but I don't know. I'd go with the ones we know that are trusted. MyFragranceSamples.com. I think Max Aroma offers decants. FragranceNet is offering decants on some of those designer fragrances. Um, it you know Make sure you're getting a good deal though. Try to do your math. Make sure you're not getting ripped off. If you can buy the full size fragrance for $20, if it's a designer cheapy fragrance, I don't know. Maybe you don't need it, but you might as well buy it and then split it off or let your friends use it or something. uh, oh no, 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 no! Don't be asking those questions, Fragdicted. Always a crowd pleaser. What? Oh no, no. Those are crazy. Those those are crazy questions. Hey, Michael Goad. Hey, wow. Well, how you doing, my friend? Centurion says, if your guest was going to the moon, what frag would they leave? Would they leave next to the flag? I don't know. Maybe like that Starlight fragrance I was mentioning by Zerjov. They have like a Starlight fragrance. What was Possettes has one called like a Apollo or something like Walk on the Moon or something like that. Maybe something like that. Fresh, earthreal, kind of powdery. I don't know. Are we hoping that the aliens pick up the fragrance and enjoy it? Let's see here. Catch up. Which Blue Day Chanel do you prefer? EDT, EDP, or Parfum? Is that how you're supposed to say it? Robes Away, it's got me saying Parfum. Anyways, EDP is my favorite for sure. I think the Parfum is great. I've tried them. I have tried them all. I have not sat down and actually done reviews or comparisons with these fragrances, but for me, I y'all are gonna think I'm snobby. I guess I'm somewhat of a snob. I don't like the quality of the citrus in the opening of the EDT. I think the EDP has the best balance of like creaminess and smoothness and richness. To me, the Parfum is great, and it's probably the longest lasting. But the Parfum just doesn't have. It's very simple. It's a little bit linear. The EDP is a little bit creamier, and I like that the fragrance maybe has a tiny bit more complexity. Honestly, the EDP or the fragrance in general doesn't have that much complexity, but the Parfum is kind of a linear fragrance. But I don't know. That's my opinion. You could buy the Parfum version and layer it with other fragrances, and that would be a beautiful thing. To layer the Parfum version with some other fragrances, but as a standalone fragrance, for me, it's definitely the EDP. Frog Dicted says, "My life, I live with a mystery guest." Oh, mystery guest. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? I'm excited to see. Y'all are some awesome people, and no matter the drama and no matter the problems, the fragrance community is pretty awesome. I actually had Chad from the Gentleman's Journey actually pop up on my Instagram live this morning, and we had a fun conversation. He's a cool guy. He's pretty down to earth. I really like him. You know, I don't know how y'all feel about him, but I like the work he does. I think he feels a little bit underappreciated, like I do sometimes, and I wish him the very best. He's a cool guy over there in Canada, I believe. So cool guy. Um, see, Robes Await too. If any of y'all are new to fragrance and y'all don't know who Robes Await is, he's like the OG. He's like the guru. Some of these guys out there, Exotic Scents, Joy. I mean, y'all probably know who Robes is. Y'all got to know who Robes is, and Max Forte and Gent Scents. But some of these other guys, maybe like Joy. I mean, and Robes Await don't get as much talk. And like Exotic Scents, Exotic Scents has been putting in the work and has great content as well. I don't know if y'all know about Exotic Scents. I forget where he's from. Maybe in India somewhere. But he's cool too. Very cool guy. Um, See here. I think the worst cologne I've ever smelled is Valentino Umo Intense. I don't remember if I've tried that one, but I've tried the Oud version or the Oud Noir. Why didn't you like it? It did, for me. It definitely had a very cloying, like almost like a root beer type of vibe. Very very sweet and kind of linear. So can't wait to sniff Armoff Club Day Nuit. Maelstrom. Maelstrom. What are we going on here? Is that the wizard version or something? Is that real? If it is, what clone is it of? Does it come in a blue purple bottle, and it looks like a thunderstorm? What's going on here? That stuff is gross. Michael, I love you. What's up, Ben? Hey, Fragrance Journey. What's going on, my buddy? What you smelling like today? Do you like? Do you care for Tuscan leather? I recently got La Yucawam, and I gotta test it. It's maybe tomorrow when I'm more indoors, I can sit down and spray a little bit of it on and give it a go. It's definitely more of a fall winter fragrance, but I don't care. I wear what I want sometimes. I just try to go easy on the sprays, but I'm interested to see if you like that fragrance. Do you care for Tuscan leather? Fragdicted says Armoff. You said is about the one called Milestone. Oh, maybe he just misspelled with Maelstrom. I was like, Maelstrom? Pulling out those words, man. People don't use that word very often. Uh, really, I was looking to buy either Dior Homme Intense. Okay. Yeah, Dior Homme Intense has a little bit more of a cocoa vibe to it. It's a little bit sweeter. Uh, I don't know how you feel about the Dior Homme line. I do feel like it's very unisex, but the Intense, it's still very unisex. I'm not gonna say it leans feminine, but I am gonna say that ladies are comfortable, very comfortable with wearing Dior Homme Intense, at least in my experience. I've let ladies smell that before, so it's a good one. At this the Dior Homme Intense is probably the biggest compliment getter. It would work great for a date fragrance. The Dior Homme Parfum, I'm sure y'all know, is the more masculine one. It has a lot of leather. It's a lot stronger. It feels a little bit more aggressive, and the performance is great. So, um, let's see. You like any Cartier fragrances? I've really been tempted to get Roadster. I used to talk very highly of Declaration on Soir, especially the intense version. I still stand behind that being one of the better cardamom fragrances I've ever seen released in the designer game, but it's discontinued, and the prices on eBay are outrageous. So I'm not really going to talk about that one anymore. It's sad when you see a good designer fragrance get discontinued, and then of course the supply dries up and the price goes crazy. You can still find the regular Declaration en Soir, and if you're a guy who likes rose scents, and maybe you're a hopeless romantic type, and maybe you're the kind of guy who would like to go on a date, have a picnic with a special lady, and maybe she wears a sundress or something. It's still a good fragrance, but it doesn't have the best longevity. That's the problem. But I don't know. I might get Roadster. I'm a big fan of mint. I've been tempted to do a blind buy of that one, so I I, I don't think I have any Cartier fragrances right now in my collection. Uh, that Declaration on Soir Intense. I forget if my dad ended up selling it, but I know my mom had it because she liked it. My dad, he liked it, but he's a little critical or sensitive to rose. So the YouTube algorithm is the worst. I can't stand Jeremy Fragrance, and YouTube shoves him. Well, yeah, YouTube plays the game. If something's popular, uh, in the last 6 months, they've changed. Things were already, I don't know, the way they are. I mean, they already focused on authority. They've always been that way for a long time until, I don't know, about 6 years ago when they started really pushing the algorithm. But in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 months, they've came out with a bunch of new rules and actually really focused on authoritative content. So if you would think that they would give upcoming YouTubers a chance. It's actually the opposite. If you have a substantial enough the more weight you have, the more subscribers. That's actually YouTube set up to actually make actually make those people grow. So YouTube is actually set up to make Jeremy Fragrance and support him because they want the audience to stick with YouTube, and he has people like Jeremy have an audience, and they don't want somebody new upcoming and maybe being a risk. So YouTube is seeing it more of like a social proof kind of thing. So people like Jeremy have like proven themselves, and YouTube is set. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is set up because there are people who are going to enjoy, and people who are going to keep coming back to Jeremy. I don't see Jeremy as the enemy of the Fragcom. I don't see him as the enemy of the Fragcom. I see that he does represent a huge part of the fragrance community, and a lot of us who are into the artistic fragrances, a lot of us who are into the niche, the creativity behind fragrances, might not see or maybe might be really bothered, but the majority of especially young men who are a huge market and maybe the majority of fragrance buyers and consumers in the world buy fragrances to be attractive to ladies. And I'm not going to try to say that that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just going to say that's our reality. And and that's why Jeremy is where he's at. And he was one of the first people to really start playing the algorithm and doing the top 10 list, and playing that game that YouTube is kind of set up. So yeah, yeah, it is kind of a shame. I do wish that YouTube didn't focus would, you know, be set up a little bit better with its algorithm. If you search me, there's been times when I've searched for myself on YouTube in the search bar, and before my channel even pops up, the number one thing that pops up, I search Centaur fragrance exactly. Jeremy Fragrance actually pops up before my channel does, and I search directly for me. So that's how much authority YouTube is set up. You know, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. I mean, somebody could be searching for chocolate fragrance or almost anything. And let's say I just released a video on a chocolate fragrance, or some other YouTuber released a video on chocolate fragrance. Just because Jeremy has authority, he might not even be talking about a chocolate fragrance. He might just be talking about a gourmand. YouTube is going to send that viewer, and it's going to suggest a gourmand video or a fragrance where Jeremy just talked about a sweet fragrance in general. And somebody might have just released a top 10 chocolate fragrance list. That's how messed up things are right now. Anyways, let's stop talking. Let's get back to fragrance. I got leather and velvet for like 30 a piece. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Hey, and if you rock it, more power to you. Just for me personally, I don't know why, but commodity just didn't work with my nose. The fragrances felt a little bit like the Labo fragrances, which sounds really weird. Might sound really weird to y'all, but they kind of felt that way. They had that kind of style about them, or that, I don't know, that DNA. Who are the 3 or 5 other YouTube fragrance commenters that you recommend? Fragrance reviewers. I don't want to pick favorites. There's a lot of great people popping out. Fragrance Journey's here. Centurion's still here. Stefan's awesome. Solano doesn't put out content too much. He's been discouraged from time to time, but Solano's always been a really cool guy. I don't know if y'all have seen him. He's from Peru, and he's really friendly. I'm trying to remember some of their names. I'm gonna do another huge shout out video, but I've just found a couple new guys. Frag Dicted's right here in the live. If you're asking for smaller people, I'm trying to remember some of them. Some of the ones I used to consider small have already surpassed me, like Clemence and Just a Rose. I don't know if you consider them small. They're much bigger than I am at this point. And I have always supported them. Who are some other ones that are small? I mean, do y'all watch Mr. Cheap Scent? I don't know how y'all feel about him, but he's pretty cool overall. I'll get back to y'all. I'm bad about remembering channel names unless I've interacted or I see them very, very regularly. If they're a smaller upcoming person, I have to like write down the name of their channel. Fab Trends by Mia is a really nice lady. I did an interview with her last week on my Instagram. If y'all haven't checked out Fab Trends by Mia, she's absolutely awesome. I think it's the Curious Nose. If you haven't watched The Etherealist, he's awesome. And there's like Stumptown Smells. I'm sure y'all know about Eugene. Um, there's a lot of fragrance content creators out there. In my opinion, you just got to find somebody who has a similar nose and a similar personality and style to you, and get a little bit of advice and make a friendship and work with them. You know, there's all kinds of people with different personalities. I might not be the perfect personality for some people out there, and I like Kuba Nose. I think he's a cool guy, but there's a lot of people in the fragrance community who might not like Kuba Nose or Joey Cannoli or some of these guys. So you got to find somebody that you jive with. You got to find somebody who is your family. You got to find your people. Fragdicted says, right, got to get some sleep. Night, gents. Have a great live banjo. I'll see you, man. Have a good one. I'll be playing over here on my banjo, and I'm gonna pull out the fiddle too. So I hope that you're doing well. I'll try to catch that live tomorrow. What perfume did you regret buying? Um, I've regretted buying a lot of fragrances. I blind bought a lot of fragrances. One of them was gray flannel. I'm beating up on gray flannel again. But I've bought a lot of fragrances. Uh, some of them I've liked and I've just ended up selling. I didn't really actually hate the fragrance. I really actually didn't truly dislike the fragrance. One of them recently was Noir Exquise. It's a very good creation. It's very well done. It just felt a little bit feminine on my skin and to my personality. What are some other ones that I regretted buying? Ungaro 3 was one I regret buying. It's a good fragrance. If you like some of those deep green, interesting fragrances, if you like Koros or Anateus or maybe the Pour Louis by Oscar de la Renta, you and you're into those deep green, great values for money, fougere fragrances. I'm trying to represent you right now because I do like fougères, but I like more modern fougères like Platinum Egoist. And some people out there really hate Platinum Egoist, the old school like fougere lovers. So I'm trying to represent you. But Ungaro 3 is like a little bit dry, a little bit powdery, a little bit ashy, and it has that signature classy kind of green DNA underneath it all. I think there's some rose to it. I forget all the notes, but I actually remember spraying that in the car when I first got it, and everybody was like, "What the heck is that?" Because it had on the opening, it has a very interesting like white ashy kind of smell to it, like a dry powdery white ash, and it also almost comes off like a white, almost like an elemi type of resin kind of smell. So it's funny. Let's see here. It's just not the same as using the fragrance via sample and decant versus a full bottle. Such a better experience testing and using a fragrance. I definitely like the luxury and the feel of having a bottle too. To me, it's a little bit more of an experience, and it does feel more of a little bit more complete. It feels like something special when you have the bottle, and the bottle represents the brand and the emotion and maybe the art behind everything, and you're wearing that fragrance, and before you even wear it, you pick up the bottle and you can kind of like feel what and have almost like a ritual with that fragrance. I definitely feel that way. I'm just talking about like money wise and practicality. You really don't have to have the bottle, but if you love the fragrance, if you really do like it, I mean of course buy it. But if you're exploring artistic niche all the time, I think it'd be better to find splits or decants, instead of just blind buying niche. If you find one you like, definitely buy it. Red Baron says, "Hi Ben, never saw you that disappointed and angry like your Aventus 2020 lol." Yeah, well, I did that video. I've never been the hugest fan of Aventus. I really do I have smelled Grail batches. I've smelled lots of batches. I think I've told y'all before that my dad is actually huge into Aventus, and he has lots of different bottles and batches. I've smelled 15 or 20, something crazy like that, different batches. I personally like the 15 XO1, and I don't remember. There was like there was like a 2014 batch or something, and I really liked it. But I was so disappointed, not necessarily because I love Aventus, but because I believe Creed is truly cheating people. There's a big difference of quality. I can tell that the formula's been changed. I can tell that fragrance notes are taken out, or they're using cheaper quality ingredients. And I feel like people are being cheated and being ripped off. You're paying for a high name luxury good, and they're changing the formula on you. It's very deceitful. It's very unethical, and a lot of a lot of people in the YouTube fragrance sphere, fragrance community, and especially on the groups and the forums and the Reddits have been very quiet about 2020 Adventist batches because I think they know about how bad it is, and nobody's willing to really speak on it. And a lot of people have money invested, and they have companies essentially. They've started their little businesses essentially just decanting and splitting and just selling off little samples of Aventus, and they don't want to hurt their bottom line. And I understand that's good. Some people out there are going to be affected, but I hate when people get ripped off. There's people who watch a review that came out 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and when that reviewer reviewed 3 years ago his bottle of Aventus, he bought that fragrance like 2 years ago, so he bought essentially, his fragrance, he might be reviewing a bottle, and it might be a 2014, 2013, or a Holy Grail batch. He might be, one of these big fragrance reviewers, if you watch one of those videos that pops up of Aventus, he might be talking about a Holy Grail, batch, a holy bit, one of the double Z batches. And, if you actually find one of those on eBay, if you get lucky, you might pay 1,000 or less. I've seen people are crazy. I'm not suggesting this is a good thing, but there's people on eBay who will pay for a brand new bottle if you're lucky enough to find one of those batches, and they'll pay like $2,000 for it. And I've seen people pay it. So, if you have that juice, know what you got. I have a friend who's a fellow fragrance reviewer. He reviews on and off, and I was actually talking to him about it, and he was talking about how he used to just remember that fragrance and he missed it, and he was just I wasn't trying to criticize him, but I asked him, were you wearing it like casually, like every day? Because if you have something discontinued and something you really love, I encourage people to like savor the fragrance, especially if it's rare or valuable. And he didn't know how much it was worth, and he was actually considering buying another batch. It was like one of the best batches Aventus ever had, and I told him how much he would probably have to pay. I think he went to eBay, and I think he shed a tear because he'd have to pay 1,000 or more. Let's see here. Catch up with the comments. Alternative to Bond Number 9's New Harlem. That's kind of a syrupy fragrance, kind of like a maple syrup. If you don't like the gourmand quality of that, you could get something a little bit more woody, like Jazz Club by Mesa Margiela. If you like smokier fragrances, you can get By the Fireplace. If you like something that's very good for the money, you can get it on amazing value out there. You might want to get Noir Exquise, which I talked about. But that one's really great for dates, very unisex. Ladies could wear Noir Exquise. Ladies, if I came across a lady wearing that, I mean, that'd be stunning. That'd be stunning, absolutely stunning. And sorry about the little dog over there. There's people on the walking trail that come by, and sometimes they, listen. Sometimes they're spying. So, what can you do? You're outside in public. Can you talk about Amouage Myth? Myth Man? I really like Myth Man. It's a little bit, the rose feels a little bit like Damask Rose. I have smelled higher quality Damask Rose if it does have real damask. It doesn't. It feels like a real damask, but the note doesn't. It doesn't feel as long to me, and that sounds really weird. I can detect the note, and it feels like it doesn't travel as much in the fragrance. It's like it's going 60 miles an hour and it puts on the brakes. So it's a really good fragrance. It's a little bit ashy. It's a little bit smoky. It feels a little bit dry, and I think the focal point of the fragrance is that rose. And I think it's really nice, but it's a little bit more daring. It's a little bit more unusual. It's not for everybody. Please don't just blind buy that fragrance, especially if you don't like anything that feels like it's dry. If you don't like anything that feels a little bit smoky, just definitely don't blind buy it. Get yourself a sample. I wouldn't say it's overtly unique or overtly artistic, but I would say it's a little bit more different. It's a little bit more daring. A lot of people out there probably would actually dislike it, but I actually tend to like it. So I'm afraid of buying decants. Any tips on reliable sources? MyFragranceSamples.com is very legit. I forget his name, but it was actually started by somebody in the fragrance community, and they're very reputable. I've bought from them like twice. Very good people. They ship very well. Sometimes they have sales on, and sometimes they actually have really good prices going on. So myfragrancesamples.com is great. My the fragrance was it the fragrance decant boutique is legitimate. I think Max Aroma and Fragrance Net have some decants, and you can go to places like Luxury Scent Box, and you know, if you get designers, you're probably getting ripped off. So definitely go for their niche. Luxury Scent Box doesn't have the biggest library of fragrances, but again, some people complain at some decanting services. I understand if you have a complaint if they're trying to market or if they're intentionally trying to sell designer fragrances, but a lot of people do go to them and that is what they want. So if you want to encourage these decanting services to carry better niche or more niche fragrances, definitely support them and talk to them and show them your support and buy those niche fragrances. If you just sit back and if you just get on your keyboard and tell them they're bad because they have designer fragrances that are in decants and they're charging too much, it's not gonna they're gonna try to serve their customers. It's not going to motivate them to really change. At least I think. So that's my opinion. But I have seen all the perfume reviewers. You are one of a kind, Ben. I like how straight and genuine you are. Yeah, I'm a straight talker. I'm down to earth. I'm not putting on a persona. I'm not being two faced with y'all. I'm not putting on a fake smile. There's been times I've gotten wrong reviews, and I don't hide my emotions very well in general. And there's been people who are like, "Are you mad, Ben?" It's like, Ben, you're not going to hurt anybody, are you? It's like, no, I just have that kind of face when I'm thinking, or maybe if I am mad. So, Red Baron says, "You're absolutely right. I feel that we came to the point where clones are better than the OG. I'm not joking. The way I'm very pleased with my 16 batch. Excellent longevity." Uh, yeah, that's a shame. Value for money wise, I know some people think that clones are unethical, but with Creed, um, I don't want to beat up on Creed. And for all I know, they could try to put a lawsuit on me with how YouTube is set up now, and YouTube is not protecting content creators. But I've always felt like Creed is a little bit of a sham. The original, I don't know if y'all watch Fragrance Apprentice's video, but original Vetiver wasn't very original. Original Santal wasn't very original. Some of their older creations, yeah, I'm sure they were based on maybe some older creations, but a lot of their newer fragrances, you know, they weren't very original. They weren't very creative, and I mean, some of them had good quality. Like I appreciate Spice and Wood for what it is. I appreciate Royal Oud for what it is, but the price for the quality of what you're getting out of these brands is just a no go. Um, One of the only fragrances I really applaud them for ever making, in my personal opinion, was Virgin Island Water because it's like essentially the quintessential summer fragrance that everybody always wanted, but the performance is just bad on it. And I do think the lime off the top is a little bit too aggressive. But I mean, hey, what else can you do? Uh, yeah, if you are on a budget, if you are trying to get your money's worth, um, you'd much better off with what was it, Al Haramain's Law of Insure or Club de Nuit Intense Man. I believe that's how you say it. Uh, I did a blind buy of Bond number nine, O Day New York last week. What should I expect? I don't remember if I've tried that one. Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I haven't tried it. There's a lot of fragrances, and I'll admit to y'all when I haven't tried anything. There's thousands and thousands of fragrances out there. I might have tried it, but I don't remember too much about it if I did. To me, a lot of Bond number nines are lackluster. They do have some that are good here and there. They're decent if you find them on a really, really good sale. I would never pay retail. I would never pay anything close to retail for a Bond number nine personally. I think Ches Bond is good. It's one of the most wearable and one of the higher quality smelling Bond number nines. And I don't know how influential I am, but just about everywhere I go, I have actually looked and tried. I do try to find sales sometimes. I'll wait to cop a good bottle at the right price, and it's sold out almost everywhere. Ches Bond, so it's a pretty good one. So I would go to Fragrantica. I know you it's not a perfect place. Some people write fake reviews. Some people play around and just aren't legit actual fragrance reviewers, or they're just, I don't know. There's, for example, like when a new release comes out, they'll upvote or downvote the fragrance even before it's released. But anyways, I'd go there and see if anybody has an opinion on it, to give you a little bit of some feedback. So, one dislike is from Creed. Oh, did somebody dislike the video? I'm sure I got somebody to dislike me. I'm sure I did. I had 15 people on here or something like that a minute ago, and I have like seven. I'm just straight to the point. I guess I'm not. I don't get on here. I get on here to talk about fragrance and to talk about my thoughts and my feelings and some of the things fragrance related. Some people come to live videos for entertainment. I respect that. I do try to mix in some fun. I'll throw in some cryptic humor or a little bit of dry humor here and there, but um, I'm not, as a fragrance reviewer. I'm not really too much of an entertainer. I do care about the information, but let me know how I can make my, I don't know, be a little bit more entertaining. But I know that a lot of people do watch lives to like sit down with one of the bros or something with a beer, and they want to hear jokes. Like, there's, again, I'm not discrediting. I'm actually supporting him. But there's people out there like Joey Canoli who are big personalities. Who have, they can talk about a little bit about fragrance here and there, but they're really just to sit down with the boys and have a good time. You know, so we're all different people. I wish I could appeal to more people, but hey. Amouage Epic Green Bottle Thoughts. My dad actually has it. It's what you would expect. Um, it's a deep dark green fragrance, but it does on the top of the fragrance, it does feel a little bit like Interlude Man. For the first couple minutes, and the fragrance DNA does feel a little bit like Interlude, but in the dry down, then it evolves into a deep green fragrance, and it smooths out and rounds out a little bit. It's a good fragrance. It definitely is going to appeal more to the fougere kind of crowd, or the guys who like green fragrances. I do think that it will appeal to mature gentlemen a little bit more. I do think it's a well done fragrance, but um, I don't know if I find it very interesting. It's good quality, but I don't know if it does anything that unique or interesting. So I don't know. For the price and for the money, I'd almost recommend you getting like Anateus or something like that. But that's just my personal opinion. I'd be interested to see how y'all feel about that. In my country, we say if you don't have haters, you're not a good man. It's true. If you stand up for anything, if you have a position, there's always going to be someone with the opposite position. And if you're a good person, there's always going to be somebody who feels like they should have what you have, that you don't deserve what you have. And there's always going to be somebody who, wants to take advantage or take what you have. So, people that's why there's haters and jealousy and all that. Um, it's a funny world. Say Creed will be reporting this video. I guess they will. Maybe they'll come after Fragrance Apprentice too. A lot of their fragrances weren't very original. They've hid their perfumers. They don't give credit to the perfumers. Um, you know, I don't think they've had a lot of creativity. And again, I've mentioned it before, and I'm not trying to beat down on older fragrance reviewers. A lot of them were amazing, and a lot of them blazed the path forward and built the trails of all of us to come forward into the modern day fragrance world. But I felt like there still was niche out there. There still was Xerzhoff. There still were older companies, French boutiques, Italian boutiques, and other brands. But for the longest time in the YouTube fragrance world, everybody talked about Creed, and it was the king of niche. It was the only niche that most people talked about, and most of the time it was Green Irish Springs. It was like bragging rights, and that's like all they talked about, almost like niche wise. And I really don't get it, and I really didn't get it. I still feel like Green Valley is the better fragrance. I still feel like it's better than Green Irish Tweed, and I think that they discontinued the wrong fragrance. Green Valley is much better in my opinion, and even then, I don't know if it's worth the money. I mean, the whole brand and what they give you for the money. I mean, back in the day, they were giving you really high quality ambergris dry down, and to me, that's how I justified the price. But now they're taking and stripping away that high quality, like white ambergris to their fragrances. Um, I don't know. I just can't get behind them. I can't do it. Let's see. You mentioned a haul. What you got coming? Give us a preview. Um, I got I got Hugo Boss Private Accord Absolute or what's it called? What's it called? Hugo Boss Absolute. It's the EDP version, however it's called. They always have their funny long names. I have what else did I get? I got Ombre Oud by Baldessarini. Um, I got a really beautiful one called Amber Fever by Monsara. Um, I got a bunch of random stuff. Halloween Man X. Y'all got to stay tuned. It'll be good. I got some indie coming, so it'll be a pretty good haul, and I hope that y'all like it. It's I gotta slow down on the buying though. I'm really gonna start saving for some of the bigger stuff that I want, and I might you know start reviewing more from samples. I hope that y'all respect or like that. So let's see here. Amouage imitation thoughts. I always get that one mixed up with Fate Man, so I don't want to misspeak. I some in my memory for some reason I always get that one mixed up with Fate Man. Uh, I don't want to speak on it. If it's one of them is more rose heavy, and I thought it was like more feminine. That might be Fate. I'm not sure. So I'm sorry I can't be much of help. I might have written a review on Fragrantica a while ago, but I haven't sampled that fragrance in a while. I wish I remembered. I gotta try. I need to give it another try though. I only had a sample, and I think it might have been my dad's, and I sprayed it, and I wore it like once for like one day. It was probably like a year ago. Or two. Hello, does anyone know any good sweet grass fragrances? Actually, there are a couple good sweet grass fragrances out there. If you've never tried CH Men 212 Man, that's probably the quintessential one. It's a little bit sweet and it feels almost irisy to me in the dry down. Some people do think it feels unisex or maybe feminine leaning, but it's a very versatile compliment getting fragrance. It's kind of almost like a hidden gem because everybody seemed to have forgotten about it or kind of discredited. Carolina Herrera 212 CH Men. So that one definitely is sweet. There's niche fragrances out there. There's Cowboy Grass. I don't know if you've tried that one by DS and Durga. Uh, there's a couple grass. What is that one called? There's one that it's called like it's like Green Viper. That's the one. Or Viper Green. There's some brand out there that has a fragrance called Green Viper or Viper Green, and it's kind of like a grassy fragrance. There are fragrances out there that utilize the note of hay as well. If you want more of like a dry grass kind of fragrance instead of that fresh green cut grass smell. If you're looking for more of that, Cherokee is one of the best ones. But if you're looking for the fresh cut grass, I don't know if you've seen my reviews, but 10 a.m. Flirt by Kieran NYC is darn good stuff, but you have to like gardenia. It'll punch you in the face with gardenia. But sweet grass fragrances, there's a few of them. I really like the 10 a.m. Flirt by Kieran NYC, but let me know what you think. Rivolare is one of my favorites as well. I love that fresh cut grass smell actually. And that's by Fragranza. I don't know if y'all have smelled that. It's a little bit tea-like. It's a little bit pear-like. It's one of my favorites. So, Panda by Zoologist, Matt. Yep, that could work. I'm gonna do a fragrance trade with somebody, and I think they're gonna. I'm gonna get the zoologist line. I've been dying to try a lot of those. About the only ones I think I tried Camel and T Rex and a few others. It's been so long, but T Rex was crazy. Uh, Thank you, CH Men, Carolina Herrera. Yeah, the 212 man. That's the one. It's if you probably you should be able to find it close to 50 odd dollars. I don't. It's probably discontinued. I hope the price hasn't crept up. I haven't looked at it in a little while. If you can't find a full size bottle for I don't know less than 60, I don't know if you want to mess with it, but it's a pretty good one if you're looking for an easy to wear, versatile, slightly blue fragrance with that grassy quality. Did you say Anateus by Chanel? Yeah, I was talking about Anateus for the money. Instead of Amouage Epic, unless you really like that dark green type of smell, and you just want something that's maybe a little bit more of a simple dark green smell, and then you want the smokiness. That's what the Epic Man is going to give you. But if you want something, I feel like Anateus is a little bit more interesting. Honestly, it almost smells higher class. Anateus smells like super high class and like posh. I know some people might not like that vibe, but I really do like. These days, again, if I wear a fragrance, I want to either smell seductive or want to smell super classy. I generally don't wear too many, just playful fragrances that are just I don't know, easygoing and laid back. I guess that's just not my personality, but it's yeah, Anateus is good stuff. You could go for something like Koros Silver, or the regular Koros if you're a monster, and you could go for if you're looking for just pure value, bang for your buck. Money wise, save the money and smell great. Definitely get the Pour Louis by Oscar de la Renta if you're just like just want the best bang for your buck and you want to save cap a couple dollars. Creed is like Rolex, played out and mostly not good as others. Yeah, Rolex, they do make some darn good products, but are they worth the money? It's really the name. It's really the prestige. It's really the bragging rights. Do they make the best watches around? Maybe. Do they overcharge for them? Heck yes. But it's bragging rights. It's like branding because everybody sees Creed as like the best of niche, and when people think niche, most people think Creed. They're able to have that high price tag because they're so in demand and they have such a high reputation. And I hope the word gets out. Um, and I hope that I don't want to try to destroy Creed, but I do want people to know that there's other alternatives to Creed. There's other fragrances, and a lot of times you can get better values and better fragrances than Creed. Creed's not a bad house. You can still like them. They don't make necessarily bad fragrances, but are they terribly creative? No. Are they particularly good values for your money? No. And to me, those are two things that really matter, like the quality and all. They lowered their bottle size. They went after decanters. And to me, I mean, Viking again is well composed and a good fragrance, but I still feel like it was a little bit of a cop out to appeal to people who like allspice. And I personally thought that Aventus Cologne was a train wreck, and now they've reformed Aventus, and in my opinion, they're ripping people off even worse. So I'm not a fan of Creed. I'm not happy with them. Um, let's see. When we talk about value, not about brands, it's the old batch of Creed Aventus worth every penny. I don't know. It depends on your budget. Can you afford to throw down $1,000 or more on a very desirable batch of Creed Aventus? If money is not an issue for you, if money doesn't really matter, saving 50, 100, $200 on something doesn't matter to you. I suppose that you could do it, but for me, I'm very practically minded. I like to get the right value for money. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to recommend the cheapest thing. Sometimes the cheapest thing is the best value, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's a balancing point. Maybe just a little bit more expensive than the cheapest thing, but the most expensive, the biggest, most desirable brand usually is just overpriced. But it doesn't necessarily mean you go to the cheapest thing if that's something else you're kind of alluding to. But let's see here. Hi Ben. See, Rolex doesn't make the best watches. Rolex is entry level watch. Oh, shoot the shots, Casey. Oh, the business. Uh, those are fighting words. Rolex is gonna come after me too now. Let's see. Let's see. Thoughts on Aqua di Gio Profundo? Um, I forget if I've tried it or not. I don't think I have. It's not available at my mall. We've all been, quarantined. I don't think I've got my nose on it. I'm sure it smells good. I'm sure it's mass appealing. A lot of people like that Absolute, that one that was kind of like an ambery dry down and had a little bit of that Invictus DNA with that bubblegum feel. I personally thought it was too playful. I'm looking to smell classy, or I'm looking to smell seductive. I'm not trying to, I don't know, smell like a bubbly, overtly playful person like that. But I mean, everybody's different. I respect people who wear it, but I don't know if I will try it sometime, but I don't know if I'm excited to. I don't know. I am excited to try that YSL Y, the O version or the Le O version, because it's supposed to have mint and it's supposed to smell like a fresh, crisp lemonade, and I really love fragrances like that. So, backup bottle boss says, "Hi Ben, man, you let the new Aventus have it. I agree. The quality of Creed is going down the drain. Yeah, I didn't want this to happen. I don't want Creed to necessarily fail. I don't want them to do poorly, but I don't want to make assumptions. I try never to do that. But if this is a symbol of Creed's quality going forward, if this is a symbol of what's to come when Creed or Greed launches a couple of new fragrances that are probably they might be mass appealing, and they might be in the same price range. They might come out with like a new aquatic line, or like a new line of fragrances based off of Ventus or something. And if this is the kind of quality they're giving us and what they're charging us, um, I don't know how any fragrance reviewer can just sit back and not tell people, try to help people, because, you know, I don't know. To me, that's what I do. Not only is this a hobby for me, not only is this a passion for me as a fragrance reviewer, I'm also trying to help people find the best fragrances that suit them, find fragrances that they love, and also kind of try to help them to understand the value of fragrances. And sometimes it's hard to know with niche fragrances, like, are they giving you your money's worth? But if you can smell the difference and you have an experienced nose, and you've been in the fragrance game for years, I don't know why some of these big fragrance reviewers haven't called out Creed for what's going on. A lot of these big fragrance reviewers don't even talk about fragrance news that might possibly, I don't know, look negative on brands, like, brands reformulating and changing fragrances, or brands that are coming out with a new fragrance line and discontinuing fragrances. And with like Creed and what they've been doing, I don't know why a lot of these fragrance reviewers just don't want to get into that. But I'm trying to help you people out there. I hope that you like it. I'm one of the only people who's doing it. Um, let's see. That's a lot of research, them, and get some decants. Yeah, definitely go do some research. Look into it. That's what I always do. Before I even blind buy, I'll go to Fragrantica. I'll try to find reviews, and I'll try to sit on it. I'll try to sit down overnight and see if my impulsive nature's gone away. If I can, like, in a couple hours or the next day, and I still want the fragrance, it probably is one that I want. But if I don't need it, or if I don't want it after a couple hours, and if I've sat down, and another good spoon of medicine to take is to go, when you want a new fragrance, is go look at your collection. If that fragrance is redundant or similar to anything that you already have, or it fits the same situations a lot of your fragrances already do, you might not need it. But that's just my opinion, and I'm just a little bit practical minded. I should be over here with affiliate links, shouldn't I? And just be telling you must buy it, you should buy it. I'm the authority. These are fragrances you have to have. If you don't have it, you're not a fragrance enthusiast. No, I don't do that kind of nonsense. I might have affiliate links in the future, though. Some people have told me I should or I need to, but I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to do that. That sounded almost like somebody just dropped the back of a truck. See, can you give me three recommendations for? Oh, sorry, I missed a question. I'll get back to that one. Um, let's see. This would be a good time to save money, y'all. Perfume might not be what you need to buy. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we don't go into. I don't even know if I can say those types of words on YouTube. Well, they're like conflict wise and economy wise, those two different things. We'll see what happens in the future, but. Atlantique by Bulgari. I don't like the opening on it. I honestly, I don't, but it's probably the most mass appealing, most blue smelling, trendy, of the Bulgaris. So if you're a younger guy, it's probably the best one. But I don't think the opening is very good. But it's a good fragrance. If you're 20 or 25 plus, I probably would recommend the original Aqua over the Atlantique. But if you like really modern, playful fragrances, you might want to go for that Atlantique. But that's just my 2 cents. I have the Aqua, and it's my favorite of the line. I might get Marine one day. I like it. It just doesn't last very long on me. Can you give me three recommendations for $100 to $150 fragrance net prices? You gotta let me know what fragrances are you looking for. What kind of fragrances do you like? What do you need in your collection? How many fragrances do you have? If you haven't tried Mansara fragrances, if you've never dived into the world of Mansara, and you're looking for something mass appealing, again, I don't know how deep you are into the fragrance game, and I don't know what you like, but Mansara Oud Lemon Lime is or Oud. I think there's a lime one as well, maybe, but no, it's like I'm getting them mixed up. There's a lime one, and the lemon line is good too. But I think there's a lime one. I like that better. But there's also Cedrat Boise, which some people say it smells like Creed. It might have a little bit of similarity, but it smells sweeter and richer, and it's doesn't have the pineapple. It has the black currant, so it has that blackberry type of vibe, especially on the top. So I don't know if you've gotten into a Mansara. If you don't have one in your collection, I think it'd be nice to have one. Also, I don't know. You might want to play around and go for John Varvatos. I've heard that the company's going under. I don't know if it's true, but the prices on those might rise. If you like dark fragrances, you might want to get Dark Rebel. If you like more of like bay rum fragrances, like the boozy, spicy, leathery fragrances, you might like vintage, like I do. That's one of my favorites for the money. You might want to get Arson Pure if you want something that's like a lemon, fresh, smooth fragrance with a little bit of that vetiver quality. Um, well, let me know what else what do you have in your collection, or what are you looking for, a friend, Casey. I do not like Bleu de Chanel nor Sauvage, but I fall in love with the Atlantique. Well, my friend, that's the beauty of having options. That's the beauty of a economy, that you have so many options and you get to find your Goldilocks and you get to find the one that works for you. So, yep, I'm happy that you found the one you like. I personally don't go for the blue fragrances very often. I recently got Halloween Man X. It has a little bit of that DNA. I think I'll keep it around, but I don't know. For me, that blue DNA just isn't my vibe. But if I got gifted Blue de Chanel EDP or something like that, I'm not asking for it, guys. But if somehow I got that someday, I probably would keep it. It's not even something that I really want, but I do think it's a decent fragrance. Bravius says, I agree. I'm not. I'm going to buy Cedrat Boise. What do you think uh, about that? Because it's not cheap. Um, no, I'm not recommending it just because it's a little bit more expensive or it's not cheap or something. It's a good fragrance. I'm not sure what you're really asking by that question. What do you think about that? Because it's not cheap. It's a good fragrance. It's I think you're getting your money's worth, especially on the gray market. If you pay $80 or less for a Mansara fragrance on the gray market or the secondary market, I think you're getting your money's worth. They're long lasting, they're likable, they're mass appealing, for the most part. They're a little bit more interesting, and you get your performance out of them. Some niche lovers actually, or maybe you could say snobbery people, actually dislike Mansaras because they maybe might not be the most interesting fragrances. They are They can be heavy on the sweetness. They can hit you over the head with sweetness, and some of them, honestly, they make them feel rich and well rounded, but they might not be composed that well. They just add tons of musk and sweetness and rich notes to kind of help round out the fragrance. But hey, if it works, it works. If it smells good, and that's what a lot of people care about: the price and the smell. They might not care that it's artistically or fundamentally composed exactly the right way. So I'm not. It says, I won't hate on you for getting free bottles, affiliates, and all. I just want nice people to have success, even if they have to shill a little. Yeah, well, I guess that's the one way to put it. I appreciate that. When I do get something for free, I always let y'all know. I'm always transparent about that. I'm not going to say other fragrance reviewers aren't transparent with y'all. I don't know who is and I don't know who isn't. But I've always been very forward and very transparent about that, and I think that should be a credit to my character. But some people don't feel that way, and if I mean, it's fine if some people don't want to support me because of that. But if you don't support people, not even necessarily myself, but other people who are very straightforward and honest, the people who maybe are the actual shills are going to get away with it. So if somebody's being very honest with you and very upfront, very transparent with you, in my opinion, you should give those people a kudos, because they're not only most of the time admitting to you that they're going to share fragrance with you, and that actually telling you that they got it for free, but they might also be admitting their human limitations, and also helping you to understand where they're coming from with that fragrance. So that's just my opinion of it. Um, in my opinion, it getting a free bottle doesn't have to affect you very much. There's been times where I've gotten free bottles, and it's all about the juice. I mean, it doesn't emotionally affect me that much. There's been times where I've sold things off. If I've been tempted a time or two to throw things in the trash if I can't even sell it or give it away, because some fragrances just aren't very good in my opinion. Sometimes you do like the fragrance, sometimes you intended to buy the fragrance, and sometimes it might seem expensive and it might flatter you that you got something nice. But I don't think getting something for free affects reviewers that much. At least it doesn't affect me as much as some people would think. Some people think that just because you get something for free, you're going to be so greedy that you're going to give them an extremely good review, and then you're going to jump in bed with them, and they're just going to give you their whole collection. I don't think that happens. Honestly, a lot of the time when people get things for free, some of these companies might actually be getting mistreated. I don't want to say who it is, and I know some of y'all are gonna know what I'm talking about. But there's been people who've gotten like, for example, one of them got like all four of the new cologne versions of Roja, like $1,000 worth of fragrances, and I might have missed them. I might be imperfect, and I've missed things, and I might not be seeing things completely straight, but I haven't seen them individually review those fragrances. I don't remember seeing any review of any of those fragrances. So they got $1,000 worth of fragrances from Roja, and they don't even necessarily even review the fragrances. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe they had an argument but with him. Maybe, he got the fragrances, or somebody out there said they got the fragrances, and then they wanted money to review them. I don't know what other fragrance reviewers are doing. I've never gotten money. I've never been paid to say anything or to do anything. And if somebody came to me and offered that, I don't even know if I would take it. And if I ever did, which I don't think I ever will, I would tell y'all that I did. I would be straightforward to y'all. I'd be like, this is a sponsored moment. This is a sponsored moment. And I'm gonna, present this to you. And I'm not gonna read a script. If any company wants me to read a script, I don't want to throw fingers up. I'll pretty much give them the middle finger. I think that's hilarious. I'm not, I don't know. Maybe some companies are getting scripts. I'm not getting scripts. Mansara said, "Drop Boys A." Let me. Bay Rum is nice. Recommendations. Get John Varvatos Vintage. If you like that Bay Rum smell, just get John Varvatos Vintage. Especially if John Varvatos has been, if they are going bankrupt, go ahead. Definitely just go get that one. You can get it for less than $30. Or, if you can't find it for that, you can definitely find it for less than $35 for a full size bottle. Especially, you can get cheaper if you get a tester. Great fragrance. It doesn't last the longest, but hey, it smells darn good, and it gives me decent. It gives me like 6 hours longevity. So let me catch up with the comments. For 100 to 150, maybe suggest Parfums de Marly on Fragrance by CA, maybe Leighton. Yeah, it depends on where you are in your fragrance journey. Uh, I personally am not the biggest fan of Parfums de Marly. I think Leighton is decent, but I don't like how popular it is. It's almost like a Ventus or Bacher Rouge 540. They're good. They deserve some love, but they're not the best fragrances ever made. And for $150, I guess Leighton's fine. Uh, for me personally, Harrod's pretty good, but the vanilla, or there's some sweet quality in the dry down of Harrod that has this like annoying high vibrancy or energy to it, and it sticks out of the fragrance. So I have a hate. Sometimes I've loved it, and sometimes I've hated it. I don't know if I'll ever buy Parfums de Marly. I like Leighton Exclusive, and I like Hobdon, but I don't know if I'll ever buy them. They're not a high priority on my list. You're so wise. Well, thank you for the compliment. I try to help you guys. I'm trying to be humble. I don't know what to say. Mansara Hindu Kush thoughts. Good fragrance. A little bit more of like a white, smoky, incensey kind of Hindu Kush. It's definitely more on the wearable side, a little bit unisex. Believe it or not, ladies could pull that one off. It's good. I do think that the cannabis note doesn't last the longest, but if you want to be a little bit more appropriate for maybe have a little bit more of a versatile cannabis fragrance, it might actually work out in your favor. That strong, really noticeable cannabis quality doesn't stick out. But if you're expecting a really grungy, oily, heavy cannabis quality to the fragrance, if you're expecting that distinct quality of cannabis, it might not be for you. I think they did a pretty good job of making it feel kind of rich and almost, I don't even know how to describe it, almost like a caramel fragrance. Jean Paul Gaultier, Le Male in the Navy, Aviator, Le Bleu, thoughts. I haven't tried the Aviator version. That one's pretty new. Le Bois, if that's how you say it, I don't know about that one. I really don't know much of anything. I did have in the Navy. I ended up giving it to my brother for Christmas. It's a great blue feeling fragrance if you like blue fragrances and massive feeling. Again, the fragrance world is a funny place. As far as a compliment getter goes, and as far as blue fragrances go, I thought In the Navy was one of the best out there as far as blue fragrances go. It's no doubt about it. I think the quality and the smell of it feel great. I mean, compared to Sauvage or Carbon or anything out there, it's a little bit more interesting. It feels a little bit more unique, and the quality. I sometimes the fragrance community is just a funny place. That one is going to be a hidden gem. People are going to forget about it. It's gonna pop up for a great price. If it's not a great price already, you know, you should be able to get a screaming deal because people just aren't talking about it and don't seem to, I don't know, don't seem to have much love for it. So during the day, in the summer, can oud and sweet fragrances be annoying? Yes, they can. In my opinion, you don't necessarily have to wear a citrus fragrance for the summer, and I always encourage you to wear what you love. If you're indoors in air-conditioned environments, you don't have to worry most of the time about actual the fragrance going bad in the sun or things becoming messy. The problem is if you're working out in the sun, going on the beach, if your fragrance is complex and the perfumer intended the fragrance to evolve and the fragrance to have all these different stages and complexity, especially if it's rich or intense or sweet or animalic, that fragrance is just going to become chaotic and really project, and it's really going to bother other people, and it can actually end up smelling bad. One of the worst experiences I've ever had is wearing Mugler's cologne, which is actually supposed to smell like a clean fragrance, and I don't do well with neroli in general. And this made my feelings of neroli against neroli even stronger. I wore it in the sun a little bit, and the sun didn't want to play well with that soapy neroli type of smell on my skin, and it ended up smelling like cat piss, and it absolutely smelled terrible, and I smelled rank, and I absolutely hated it. So white florals most of the time are not for me, especially in the summer. I don't really have really any white floral fragrances besides Neroli Woods by Banana Republic. And I'm actually I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. See, Code Absolute or Profumo. I already have Atlantique and YSL YEP, and I need at least one for the fall winter. I live in Belgium in the winter and the rainy days. Both of them would work for you. Both of them are great. I definitely would, if you can, go to your mall once the world gets back to normal and sample each one of them. And if you can't find one or the other, maybe buy a sample and figure out which one you like. I've heard that they're pretty similar. I haven't tried the new Absolute. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I haven't tried the new Absolute one, from what I hear, they're pretty darn similar. If you like that style of fragrance, I would definitely encourage you to also consider the Hugo Boss Private Accord. I believe that's what it's called. There's a parfum version of it. It might be. I think it also goes by the name of Hugo Boss Absolute. Essentially, it's the Private Accord, but it's the EDP version of the Private Accord, essentially. So, I definitely would give that fragrance a chance as well. You can't go wrong with Code, Profumo, or Absolute. They both smell great in the cold weather. Yeah, they really do. Both. Again, I need to try the Absolute, but yeah, you won't go wrong. You won't go wrong. Go howdy doody with the script. Throw it out the window. Start a ruckus. Matt Strom says, I found Layton to be okay. It's just reminded me of a bubblegummy vanilla scent. Not my fave. It's not a bad scent. I don't want to beat up on Layton. Some just with my personality and for what I look in a fragrance, Layton's good. If I came across that fragrance and if I could have afforded that fragrance when I was like right out of high school or right out of college, I would have loved that fragrance. I would have absolutely loved it, and there's no doubt about that. But as I've gotten deeper into fragrances and I have lots of choices and I know my options and my taste, I encourage everybody to find fragrances that they love. And some people out there might truly love Layton, but again, I try to encourage y'all to get away from the hype. I try to help y'all to sample, go to the mall, smell fragrances for yourself, and find the fragrances that you really like, because I want y'all to be happy with your fragrances. We have a limited time. In my opinion, there's no reason you should have fragrances that you kind of like or you think that are boring or that you actually dislike in your collection. Why wear those fragrances if you don't give a great experience, and when you wear your fragrances, you're not actually happy. You're not happy about it. Wearing your fragrance, you should love it, and it should be a great experience for you. So that's what I'm trying to help y'all with. Mansara Wild Leather thoughts. I haven't tried Wild Leather. I forget, but that one, wasn't it kind of fruity? I've only heard other reviewers talk about it, but that was years ago. I don't remember much about it. I've never smelled it. Most of my experiences with most fragrances are actually from me buying samples from my own money, because I don't live near boutiques. I don't travel to big cities. I don't have that luxury of like people in New York City and things like that, where they have so many fragrance boutiques and stores and that kind of access. But so how would you describe a leather fragrance? That's kind of a hard question. It smells like leather. If you've never smelled leather goods, leather smells. I don't know. Have you ever smelled beef jerky? Have you ever smelled? I don't know, like skin, just in general. It can smell a little bit. I don't know, like sunscreen lotion. A little bit. It can leather can smell almost like, what's another way to put it? Almost maybe like dried nutmeg. It can smell maybe like old coffee rinds, maybe a tiny bit. I'm trying to give you some comparison if you don't know what leather smells like, or if you have no I don't know, experience with leather. I don't know if you've ever had really really old coffee rinds that like you just let sit out for a long time. Maybe you have some in a drawer somewhere. May or kind of give that a smell, or maybe do a criminal sin like get a couple coffee beans and like put them in the microwave for like a minute, and after they've cooled down, then smell them after you microwaved them, and that's sometimes how I don't know how leather can smell like. What is your scent that has an awesome, let's see, awesome lit fresh cigar smoke dry down? I don't know if I have anything that has a fresh cigar type of smell. Honestly, I don't usually like that green smelling, that green tobacco smell, and I usually don't like that green cannabis type of smell. I actually really dislike it, but I don't know. One of them that does feel a little bit more fresh, would be maybe Pure Havana by Mugler. If you like for the money, and if you're looking for a designer fragrance and you're looking for something that it smells pretty good, it's a pretty good value for your money. That Pure Havana is pretty good. How does Santal 33 compare to Dunhill Century? In my opinion, the Dunhill Century is a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit more soapy. It's a little bit more mass appealing and likable. There's a little bit of this natural sweetness in the background. Dunhill Century doesn't necessarily last as long. It'll probably give you 7-8 hours, at least in my experience. But Dunhill Century feels a little bit more rich and a little bit more full bodied. Santal 33 in my doesn't smell very natural. I really don't like a lot of the Labo fragrances. They don't feel like they're actually composed. I think they're intentionally made to be layered with each other. So, but they just don't feel like composed fragrances. They feel like aroma chemicals. Like if I just bought a couple aroma chemicals and poured them into a container and sold them to you with without mixing them or no art or no consideration, it doesn't really. I don't like Santal 33. It doesn't have the richness to me of sandalwood. It doesn't have any of the natural sweetness. Uh, Dunhill Century. I mean, if you've smelled real Mysore, real high quality sandalwood, it definitely. I mean, it doesn't particularly smell like high quality sandalwood, but at least in my opinion, it comes closer. So to me, when Dunhill Century first came out for the retail price of like 120 odd bucks, I probably would have suggested you maybe not even like consider either of them. But because Dunhill Century is underrated and it probably discontinued, and the price is way low, I definitely would suggest the Dunhill Century for like 30 or 35 bucks or whatever you can find it for. If you can find it for a good price. Again, I got a screaming deal. I got mine for 29 US dollars, shipped to my door for the 4.5 ounce bottle, and I think it was a screaming deal in my opinion. So, any other Lalabo? I've tried the Noir 29. I've there were I can't remember the numbers. I tried one. It was like a number is there a 13? And there was a bigger number. It was like a 40 some. Isn't there a 40 something? Anyways, I the ones I tried, I don't even remember those. They didn't stick out to my memory. They weren't terribly unpleasant. They just didn't work for me, especially for the price. And again, I don't want to discourage y'all from ever trying any brand. I never want to discourage you from not trying a brand because I don't love it. If I personally don't like, I'm not in love with Byredo or any of the older Galavant scents. I don't want y'all to feel like you shouldn't try them. Give them a go. You might absolutely love those fragrances. I'm just a reference point. I'm just an opinion. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. Let's see. I found that Dunhill Icon projected much better in the dry heat than humidity. Okay, well, I could see that. The humidity might make fragrances, kind of keep them in. Maybe they bubble you in a little bit. So maybe in the humidity, maybe you get a little bit less projection, but maybe you get a little bit better longevity. I don't know. I would love to test that around the world. If we could do a scientific test and test that theory, I would love to, but we would have to have two exact methods sprayed on the exact same surfaces, try to match the temperatures perhaps, and you know, and the only factor is the difference of humidity. So that'd be a fun thing to do. But thoughts on the one by Dolce Gabbana? Great fragrance. I still think it's a good one. It's always suffered from fairly poor longevity. If you'll get 4 hours, if you're lucky, five. Some people claim they get seven or whatever. Maybe they have great skin. Maybe they use lotion. Maybe they spray 10 sprays on their clothes. I don't know what some people do, but the one is a great date night fragrance. It's a great fragrance. It smells a little bit classy and rich. It almost smells like a honey tobacco fragrance, but it's very well blended. The honey and the tobacco qualities really don't stand out, and that's mostly what you get out of the fragrance. It's not overtly complex, but it was a super popular fragrance, and I think it still sells very well for a reason. It's a great fragrance if you want to smell very charming as a guy. You know, I still think ladies like that one. Not a lot of people talk about Dolce Gabbana the one anymore. It's still a good fragrance. It's still a good fragrance DNA. If you can pick it up for $40 or less, and if you're just going on a date, if you're just going, for an errand, or if you're willing to reapply, if you want to get through the workday. To me, it's not really a workday fragrance, anyways. It's more of like a night out, if you're going out on the town kind of fragrance. But hey, it's all up to you. Some people have to have beast mode. You know, do whatever works for you. But I still think it's a good scent. If you like things like La Nuit de l'Homme, maybe you want something a little bit different, and you still want to smell really seductive or charming. Definitely give that one a go. Thoughts on Tom Ford Plum Japonais? I love the dark fragrances, so I'm thinking about buying. I think it's great. It's one of the only fragrances out there that has plum. There's not a lot of them. There was the Andy Warhol that I know of, and y'all know about Sensual Obsessions. They're a really good clone of that one that I used to talk about a lot. It's still a good fragrance, but Plum Japonais, the plum actually goes away in the first hour or two, and then you get more of this dark, almost woody nature. I think the fragrance was originally marketed towards women, but because it ends up actually drying a little bit more, woody instead of delicate, I think a lot of guys actually like that because it feels a little bit more unisex. So it's a great fragrance. It definitely, you have to be willing to wear something that is unisex. But it's a good one. For me, sorry, we're at the 2 hour mark and it glitched out for a second. But I was gonna say, I think it's a great fragrance. I think guys can comfortably wear it. But again, with me wanting my macho leathery scents, sorry, that's cicadas. If y'all have never heard cicadas or cicada, how do you say? I don't know how you say them where you live. Cicadas, I don't know. But Plum Japonais is great. I personally would like if I was dating a femme fatale lady in dark purple, I'd want her to be wearing Plum Japonais. Did Dior change Dior Homme cologne? I was wondering because there are recent changes in the Dior Homme line, and people don't seem to like those changes. As far as I can tell, Dior Homme cologne isn't being produced anymore. It's not on the gray market. Again, it's really hard to tell right now because there's this scarcity because, because of the Rona and the virus. A lot of things are actually out of stock right now. It's hard to know, what actually is discontinued and actually what is, completely sold out. It's hard to know. But the Dior Homme is drying up. There's very few bottles even left on eBay of Dior Homme cologne or Dior Homme O. Dior Homme cologne. I forget if it was the cologne or if it was the sport. It might have been the sport, but there was like an older version of it, and they have reformed it in the past. And if they're willing to reform that in the past, and like here in 2020 with reforming, Dior Homme, they're willing to touch all of them. I've heard that there are differences in the Dior Homme Intense of 2020. I've heard most people say that the Dior Homme Parfum is about the same, but if you really like that fragrance and you have to have it, I definitely would get it before it dries up. I don't know if it is truly discontinued, but it looks like it is, at least to me. So it's a sad thing. Fragrances come and go, reformulations do happen, And the world is a crazy place. Designer fragrances, they're, designer houses are all about making a quick buck off trends. They're not really into artistry. They're not into keeping around a signature scent for a long period of time, unless it sells very, very well for them and it's iconic. Unless the fragrance is a huge top seller with a very loyal following, like Dior Fahrenheit or the original Acqua di Gio or the original Jean Paul Gaultier, Le Male, they're just not going to keep the fragrance around. With the flanker business, that's what flankers are all about. Selling you a new iteration of the fragrance, and they're building off of the original and the name of their brand. So it's a shame. You sometimes we fall in love with these fragrances and we love them, and sometimes we think that they're artistic creations, but they're companies, and that's the name of the game. So I get 8 hours with the one EDP, use lotion, and have pretty good skin. 6 sprays. Yeah, see, exactly. Everybody has a different experience. I was talking about the EDT. I get like 4. So yeah, you might be able to get closer to 5 or 6 hours with the EDP. And if you have good skin and you moisture up like Anthony here, who knows? Maybe you'll even get 8 hours out of it. So it's a good fragrance. And it does smell nice. It smells really nice. How many times do you reapply? Do you use multiple fragrances throughout the day? For me personally, I usually end up testing things throughout the day. I'll spray just a couple sprays from a sample on a couple parts of my arms. Or if I actually intend to wear a signature fragrance, I usually don't reapply. I know some people like to bring decants with them, and some people like to apply throughout the day. That's just not personally my thing. I would only do that if I was like going out on a date, or if I really wanted to get noticed. If I was going to a special event, or I really wanted to actually get noticed by people, I might do that. But most of the time, I'm a little bit more personal, and I don't have to. I guess I'm not always trying to grab attention if I'm personally just wearing my personal fragrance. But I hope that answered your question. Dean says Noir 29 kind of reminds me of Santal 33. I guess you could see that they're from the same brand. They have a similar style, that's for sure. They all do. Some of them do have a similar feel about them. Does using lotion help longevity? How do or how so? Yes, it does. It helps because it slows down the evaporation of the fragrance. If you spray a fragrance on your skin, it gets absorbed in your skin and it starts having contact with that your body heat. If you have that layer of lotion in between your skin, and with with the fragrance, it slows down that evaporation because there's that layer. Also, because it moisturizes and your skin's not as dry, so your skin is not going to, I guess, take in the aroma as quickly. So yeah, it does help. Some people suggest that you apply your fragrance right out of the shower. Some people suggest that you put on a layer of oil. I do think that layering with fragrance oils is a great way to get better longevity. I do that sometimes. I love oils, but everybody has their own little tricks about getting better longevity. Some people like spraying fragrance on clothes, and some people are very against spraying fragrances on clothes. So I guess it all depends on you. What do you want to do? Matt says Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme performed at its best in the dry down after the sweating for many hours. Yeah, sometimes fragrances have like a second wind. It's funny. Sometimes the fragrances, because a lot of fragrances cheat you with a really bold opening, with a big bodied opening. A lot of fragrances cheat you and the dry down's really wimpy. But some fragrances, especially the parfums, have more concentration of notes and are really focused on the dry down. And the openings can actually be a little bit wimpy, but then the dry down's where the money's at, the good stuff. So I definitely feel you there. Let's see. What is your thoughts on Chanel Coromandel or Coromandel? I'm not sure how you say that, but I have tried it. I don't remember if my dad still has the bottle. I thought it was good. It smelled almost like buttery popcorn, and it was a little bit floral. I felt like it was a little bit old school. It's good. Don't get me wrong. You can still easily wear it in the modern day, but it does have that quality about it like a lot of some of the Chanel's do, and some of their even some of the more modern-ish Guerlains do. They do have a little bit of that vintage undertone, and some people really like that. They think it smells classy, and they think it smells. They like that quality about the fragrance. But if you're really into blue fragrances or trendy fragrances, it might smell a little bit dated to you. It's really good. If you are a lover of the fougères, um, or if you are looking for maybe something that smells mature and high quality and classy, I would definitely recommend Hermes Rocabar Vetiver. To me, it's a hidden gem. It's one of the best, one of those styles of fragrances that's almost like fougere like, and almost classy and vetiver and a tiny bit spicy. It's just one of the best of them out there for the quality and the money. That's the one I would recommend. But if you do like something that feels a little bit aldehydic and a little bit buttery, and a little bit like buttered popcorn to me, and also has that a slight tint of that a floral vintage floral feel to it, you might like Coromandel. It's a good creation. It's well blended, and the notes are good quality. It's decent, but I personally wouldn't buy it. It's just not my style. And again, everybody has their own style. I like tobaccos, leathers, coffees. I like the rich. I like the deep. I like the dark. I like the smoky. And sometimes I like the lime fragrances, or sometimes I like the what was it, the mint. And I also sometimes like musk fragrances. So yeah, we all have different preferences. Thoughts on the Tom Ford Black Orchid? Great fragrance. Another one of them that was marketed towards women, but does feel a little bit earthy. It's very dark. It's very complex. Men can wear it. You probably would have to be maybe somebody who's like an art major, or somebody who has a very big persona and maybe a bubbly personality, but also you can be seductive as well. I personally couldn't pull it off. It's not my style. To me, it's more of a femme fatale fragrance, but it's very good. A lot of guys out there do love it. There's actually a cult following, and there's a lot of guys who wear it. So kudos to you if you can wear it and if you can pull it off. I know that you're smelling scandalous, guys out there. I know that you're smelling good with that black orchid, but I personally just can't do it. It's just not my. It doesn't jive. It doesn't work with for me. But it's a good fragrance. It might seem a little bit linear to you, but it has some subtleties. Give it a little bit of a chance. It's pretty good. If you're looking for more of a seductive fragrance, if you're looking for more of like an actual date fragrance, not like a Netflix and chill, and you're looking at Tom Ford fragrances, definitely go for the Noir Extreme. That's the better fragrance for that. Something that's going to be a little bit closer to the skin, a little bit smoother, a little bit more inviting. That's the juice. A lot of people actually complain about the projection of Noir Extreme, and I actually thought that at first, but then I realized what that fragrance is for. That fragrance is for inviting somebody in, or you've already sealed the deal and you already know what's going to happen. So that's just my 2 cents. Anthony says, I like to spray the fragrance into the unscented lotion while in the hand, then rub it in on my arm and torso, neck, and chest. Then I wait a few minutes and apply the fragrances as normal, like on top of that. Hey, that's a great thought. Definitely get that's a good way to do it. Mix the fragrance into the lotion, get that infused, get yourself a good layer, and then spray the fragrance. That's some magic right there, Anthony. That's the juice. Does the Joe Malone house hold any known gems for men? Um, they have like a bronze wood and an amber scent that I've always wanted to try, and their tonka and myrrh has been definitely on my list to try. I really want to try those, but that's on their exclusive line, their black bottle line, and those are like double the price. They're like, I think they're over 200. I don't know if they get up to three, but they're definitely over $200. Uh, Joe Malone, if you're just going for their citrus fragrances and their lighter fragrances everybody knows of, there's the orange. I never say it right. There's like an orange sea salt one. There's a wood sage and sea salt, and then there's like one that has orange or something. I always get it mixed up, but that's probably the best one, especially for men. But I'm not a huge fan of Joe Malone fragrances personally. They're just a little bit too unisex and simple, but and they don't last very long. But the quality's not bad. But for the performance, for what you're getting for your money, I don't know. It's not a good value in my opinion. But definitely try them. Give them a try. Some people like lighter fragrances. I like the richer, heavier, sometimes complex fragrances. So Joe Malone is kind of the opposite of what I'm looking for in fragrance. So Casey says, give me a few tobacco, leather, coffee suggestions. Don't worry about pleasing me. Give me what you like. I like Mugler Tonka, Pure Tonka. It's discontinued. The prices are creeping up, but it has a beautiful, musky, rich kind of feel about it. One of the best designer fragrances, in my opinion, that's come out in a long time. I really like tobacco-wise, Fan Your Flames by Nichane, a niche fragrance, fairly high-end. Real niche heads probably think the dry down's a little bit simple, and it does have a little bit more. It does try to keep itself in the bubble of wearability, which I do appreciate. But if you're deep into niche, it might not actually be interesting enough for you. But I love Fan Your Flames for being seductive and classy and charming enough that and also not being uberly daring. That's one I absolutely love. I just got that Hugo Boss Absolute, the EDP version, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm starting to test that one out on my skin. What are some other ones that I really like? I'd have to like look at my collection and like think about it. My collection's actually like 80 fragrances. I don't know if I have any other coffee scents. Rhyolite has a little bit of a nuance of coffee. I really want the Montal Ristretto Cafe. It does. I don't think it has coffee, but it kind of feels like it. The Amber Fever by Montal, which I have, and I absolutely love that one. What else is there? I think it's El Contrario by Trinzia Terenzi. That one's been on my buy list. I really got to buy that one. So, I don't know. I'm picky. And I try not to have too many redundant, not too many of the same coffee fragrances, even though, I do love the coffee. Let me catch up with the comments. Anthony tells us Bergamot and Oud Intense is great from Joe Malone, and so is Myrrh and Tonka. They actually perform pretty good. Yeah, I've heard I heard good things about Bergamot and Oud, and then the hype kind of died down. I'm kind of wondering why so. I'd like to try it. I'm sure you're right, Anthony. Bergamot and Oud looks good, and I got my eyes on that Myrrh and Tonka and that Bronzewood and Amber. I think it is. It might be Bronzewood and Leather or something like that. I definitely got my eye on trying a few of them. So, what do you think of the Christian Dior Eau Noir, the Grain Juice? I know it's discontinued, but can you still get decants? You can probably find decants. I would search around. eBay is a really convenient place to find decants. There are people who will scam you, but there are people, sometimes they're legitimate, but sometimes people also, even if they're giving you the real juice, the real deal, they might be overcharging you on eBay. But if you're looking for something discontinued, you're kind of at the mercy of the seller. So what I would do is maybe find a reputable, trustworthy one of these big decanters, these people who, on maybe the Facebook fragrance groups, and ask around. Find somebody who has a bottle sitting around, and maybe they'd be willing to sell it to you because they don't. It's just they have a huge, massive collection and they don't want it anymore. Or maybe they'd be willing to sell you a little bit of it because they realize it's selling dust and they have 500 fragrances. So that's what I would do. I would go to a bunch of the Facebook splits and the Facebook decant groups and ask a couple questions and ask around and I'll try myfragrancesamples.com. I don't think that they would have it, but you can always give them or My Fragrance Decant Boutique a try. So let me see here. But in my personal, I don't think I've tried the Eau Noir. I've only tried some of the more modern Christian Dior fragrances. No, I'm thinking of Clive Christian. Ignore that. I was just about to talk about Clive Christian. If y'all want to hear my thoughts, I think that they're overpriced. I don't think there's a lot in the modern batches or versions that I've tried. There's not a lot of creativity. The quality doesn't smell that great, and the prices are outrageous. So I love Pure Tonka. Yeah, Anthony, I think it was one of the best designer releases that came out in a while. Do you have any signature fragrance houses where you tend to wear fragrances from those houses on a more regular rotation than other houses? I'm a funny guy, Edge's Dragon. I'm a very funny guy where I really don't dedicate myself to any brand. Just like music, I can find a song from a band and I can love that song so much I can almost commit it to memory. I can listen to it like 10 times a day, but then I actually might not even like, or actually I might dislike some of their other songs. I'm very I guess I'm very picky, even with fragrances. About the only houses I really like a number of the fragrances from. I respect the house is like Amouage, Nichane, and Carner Barcelona, and maybe I could include Serge Lutens, but Serge Lutens, some of their older fragrances, I just can't deal with them, but they are well composed. But even with Amouage, I only have Jubilation. That's the only one I really love, and I had to have. Miss Man is good. If I had get the money, I probably would buy it. And I want to try Portrayal Man. But as far as the other releases, maybe if I had a lady around, I think that Reflection Woman is amazing. I would definitely want my lady to smell like Reflection Woman. But I wouldn't buy any of the other Amouages. And just like Nichane, Fan Your Flames is the only one that I fall in love with and I truly want. And I also want to try Manugu and buy that one. But I have to save up money again. But with Carter Barcelona, I have Amber Del Sur, which I think is gorgeous. I fell out of love with my Palo Santo, which is probably a crime to some of y'all. I think it's a great fragrance, but I actually ended up selling it. Uh, but I do want to buy Bobo and maybe even Figman from Carter Barcelona. I think they're a great house overall, but they are a little bit on the fresher side. But I'm excited to see if any of those houses release a new fragrance. I'm definitely always excited, to try their new releases. So, let me see here. Hi Benjamin, I just got Acro Awake. It's a great coffee. Yeah, that Acro, that looks good. I haven't tried it yet, but I bet that's the juice, my friend. And if y'all don't know, No Notes. He's a new fragrance reviewer. He's making waves, and I'm not sure, but I think you're growing really fast, my friend. And people are loving you, so definitely check him out. He's a cool fragrance reviewer as well. I like your content, my friend. Casey says, Boss the Scent Absolute. What you referenced? Yeah, that's the one. That I kind of mix it up because, in my opinion, it's essentially the same as the Private Accord EDT, but it's like the EDP version. It might have a little bit less of that Munegu fruit, that special fruit, but it's a little bit rich. It's a little bit smoother. It's a little bit heavier, and might smell a little bit more of a gourmand fragrance instead of that fruity kind of quality about it. So definitely has good longevity. Definitely would be good for fall and the winter, and definitely a compliment getter. Yeah. So if you have the chance, like at your local mall, I think you do live maybe a little bit closer to Germany. With Hugo Boss fragrances. I hope that you can get a sample or try it. You might like it. So, Hugo Boss products are poorly made. Their colognes are okay though. I haven't bought any clothes or anything from Hugo Boss, so I actually wear normal clothes. And if y'all watch my videos, I usually wear about the same clothes. I don't think I bought any new clothes in like a year or maybe 2 years. I need to get myself a new wardrobe. But honestly, I spend most of my money into fragrance. So, uh, but I wouldn't be amazed. A lot of these fashion companies are fast fashion, and they use cheap labor, and they might not be the most ethical. And yeah, I don't love most Hugo Boss fragrances. The Hugo Boss, bottled Intense Parfum, and the Hugo Boss Private Accord and the Hugo Boss Absolute are about the only ones that I would recommend from my experience. Some people like the tonic. I think it's okay, but I'm not in love with it. But yeah, those are the only Hugo Boss fragrances that I've found that I actually like. But if you go for the original Hugo Boss Pour Homme, like that would be a good gift if you got, especially the Parfum version for like a nephew or something, or for somebody who graduated high school. I don't think it would be a bad fragrance, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm not in love with Hugo Boss. Sorry if I talk about them a lot. I'm just, I do like the few fragrances I have from them. I have bought from them. Salvatore Ferragamo Umo Signature is a great leather and coffee. Yeah, you're exactly right. For some reason, they didn't come to mind. I like the regular Umo a little bit better. It's a little bit more gourmand. It's heavier and sweeter, but you're right. The signature probably has a little bit more coffee to it, and definitely is a little bit more classy. Definitely a little bit more upscale. Definitely something you probably could get away with in the office. I think the Umo maybe is a little bit too flirtatious and a little bit too obnoxious, maybe maybe for a professional environment. So, ever tried Les Artisans Parfumeurs? How do you say that? Travaux de Boschmore? Boschmore? I don't know how you say that, but no, I haven't tried that. It's what is it? Is it good? What are the notes? Between fragrances, candles, and body products, you can handle just hemorrhage money. I actually don't have a lot of candles, but I feel you. And I only have like 80 or so fragrances. I actually buy and sell fragrances. Fragrances are like on a rotation on my collection a lot of the times. The stuff you see, I buy. Uh, a lot of the stuff gets sold and like new stuff comes out. So a lot of the time it's like a rotation with the money. I try not to put too much money into this thing. I spend too much as it is, and I gotta slow down and just save and only buy fragrances that I truly like. My blind buying days. I'm gonna blind buy samples, but actually blind buying bottles, especially designer fragrances. Um, I don't know if I'm done, but in the next 6 months or especially a year, I'll probably be done blind buying or trying to seek out, you know, those fragrances from the past for the cheap, because I've tried most of them, and some of them just get too hard to find or too expensive, even though they were great cheapies at one point. So, what's your favorite Tom Ford private blend? That's a really hard question. I love Costa Azura, but I don't think it lasts very long. It's a shame. If I was a quadrillionaire, I would carry a bottle everywhere I went and would just spray Costa Azura on myself all the time because I love the smell. But I only get like 3 or 4 hours of performance out of it. It's a crime, but I absolutely love the smell of Costa Azura. I like Tuscan leather and I like oud wood, and I might one day buy a bottle of oud wood. Tuscan leather is really, really nice, but I don't know if I would find many occasions to actually wear it. So if I buy a Tom Ford, it might be ombre leather. I really do like it, but it's a little bit simple. The only Tom Ford I know that I have to have at some point is Italian Cypress. And it's another one of those dark green kind of fragrances, but it has that elemi, it has that cypress, it has almost a little bit of that dark that amp is I meant that dark sophisticated patchouli is a little bit more amped up in the dry down, and the opening has almost this like dark green mintiness to it, and I just really like the energy and I like the quality about Italian Cypress, and I think Agnes Eva actually really liked Italian Cypress too. So, hey, you know the sophisticated ladies like it too. So, it's supposed to smell like a Turkish delight. Oh, well, that sounds nice. Put it in the meme, be like that. Oh, do you regret buying Noir Squeeze? How does it compare with By the Fireplace? By the Fireplace is much smokier. Well, Noir Squeeze really isn't smoky to me at all. By the Fireplace is really smoky for the first 30 or 40 minutes. And then kind of becomes a skin scent, or kind of slows down, or kind of simmers down on the skin kind of quickly, and doesn't really become a skin scent, but it really does settle down. The first 30 or 40 minutes actually projects pretty well, and then it becomes a little bit feminine to my nose, a little bit irisy. It's a good fragrance, but I don't know if I would buy By the Fireplace for myself. I personally would love a lady to wear it around me. But Noir Squeeze is a little bit more rich. It's a little bit more full-bodied. It's very classy. It's very well done. It feels a little bit more, almost of like a rich, I don't know, almost like a caramelized Tonka type of fragrance. Maybe with some vanillic overtones. It did feel a little bit more on the gourmand side. And I don't know, some of y'all out there might go crazy for it. Never let me discourage you out of a fragrance. If you do like, things like Tonka Imperial, and you don't mind something that might lean slightly feminine or be completely unisex, definitely go for it. You know, if it works for you. For me personally, it's more of like a fairly wearable gourmand. That would be gorgeous, at least in my opinion, on a lady. But that's just my opinion. See here. Costa Azura, Aqua, or the EDP? I'm talking about the EDP. I haven't tried the Aqua. I bet the Aqua smells gorgeous, but I almost don't even want to smell it. I might like it even more than I like the EDP, but it might only give me 2 hours of performance, and then I'd be really be heartbroken. So no, I haven't tried the Aqua. The EDP is the one I've tried, and I really really love it. So Salvatore Ferragamo Umo signature is different than Ferragamo Umo. Stuff is confusing. Oh yes, my friend Casey. The Umo is the one that came first. The signature is a flanker of it. It's not near sweet. The regular Umo is much more of a gourmand fragrance. It's often called a tiramisu fragrance. It has a little bit of that coffee, but it also has a lot of sweetness, and it feels a lot more rich. It feels like a golden coconut cake. But the signature takes away almost all of that, tiramisu quality. It doesn't really have any of the sweetness, and it doesn't really have much of the richness. But it has a little bit of that sophistication, and it has a lot more leather to it, and it has coffee. To me, it's more of a mature scent. But both of them are very good. It actually seems like the signature is more popular than the Umo, but I like my rich scents. Sometimes I like my gourmands, and I don't know. I like it. And if you don't know the new curly scents, I think that's her. I might be mixing it up, but her name's like Michela. I always mix it up. Anyway, she likes it, and she's wonderful. I don't know if y'all have seen her as a new fragrance reviewer. She'll probably get really popular as well. She came from Instagram. She's cool. Have you tried Tea for Two? Yes, I have tried Tea for Two. It's a really nice fragrance. I felt like the dry down, it maybe became a little bit simple in the dry down. It's a gorgeous tea fragrance. A lot of people love it. It was one of Triple Ink's favorite fragrances. If y'all still remember Triple Ink, it's a good fragrance, and but it lasted like 6 odd hours on me, and after that, and then the dry down, it started almost feeling like it fell apart. It's a good fragrance. Great for dates. Great for being playful and likable. For me personally, I would like something a little bit classier and something a little bit more maybe well composed, in my opinion, perhaps. And I would go at least for me, it's more of a mature scent though. 5 o'clock Jajambre by Serge Lutens. Again, it might smell a little bit dusty. It might smell, I don't know, a little bit more for, I don't know, the 25 plus. A younger guy definitely could easily pull off and be playful with Tea for Two. But the Jajambre, that ginger, that sophistication, that kind of vibe, that's just me. And it's actually on my buy list. I might buy 5 o'clock Jajambre sometime. My favorite from Serge Lutens so far is Santal Majusculin. A hidden gem, one of the best rose fragrances and cocoa fragrances and sandalwood fragrances all in one. One of the best out there in my opinion. So, Guerlain Albert Rouge. I've tried it, but it's been a little while since I've tried it. I thought it was good. I remember it being it had that almost like skin-like quality about it. A little bit aromatic, highly versatile, very wearable. I remember liking the the one with that's has the red rimmed around the collar of it. And I think that one might have been made to be more unisex, or maybe a little bit more for the ladies or something like that. But it's still very unisex. Guys and ladies could both comfortably wear it. And I think that one is a little bit more modern. I would go with the Hobbit Rouge Le Haut with the red collar. I think that's the better fragrance, at least in my opinion. Costa Azura Aqua is better and has a designer price. Don't tempt me, Dean. I'm like Gandalf to Frodo. Don't tempt me, Frodo. Going Lord of the Rings over here. Y'all got me whimsical. I've been on here for almost 2 hours and 30 minutes. I gotta go, guys. I gotta wrap this up, and I have 14% power, actually like 10%. And I made a Lord of the Rings reference and 4 people dropped off. What's wrong with you people? You don't like Lord of the Rings? What's wrong with you? Come on, people. I can't make a Lord of the Rings joke. Ah, people. People. Killian Intoxicated sure has a nutmeggy punch to it. Mmm, nutmeg. Sometimes nutmeg works. I don't like it to be on the front of the fragrance or the focus. I like it to be in the background sometimes, but nutmeg is hit or miss. I bet it's hard for a perfumer to be able to use that note. Thoughts on Killian Apple Brandy Safe Blind Buy? Isn't that one discontinued? I'm not sure, but I heard rumors that that one's discontinued. It's a good fragrance. It's pretty easy to wear. It's a good fragrance. Let's see. But I personally would buy Baronda by Nasamato. Personally, that's the better fragrance. It's a little bit more boozy. It's a little bit more sophisticated. It's a little bit more seductive, and you get better longevity. But the apple brandy smells a lot more authentically boozy, and the apple is absolutely gorgeous on the opening. If you just care about the opening smell, if you just want to reapply all the time, apple brandy is absolutely gorgeous. But I don't know. It all depends on what you want. For me personally, I probably would go with the Baronda for the longevity and the value for money. But that's just me. Let's see here. Costa Azura Aqua Performance is the worst than the EDP. Yeah, I would love it, but I don't know if I could do it. I would love it, but it would hurt my heart to wear it because I'd get like 2 hours of performance, and I would smell great, but then I would be heartbroken because I want it to last, and I don't even want to remember this tragedy. Tom Ford, I'm going to get wealthy enough, and Tom Ford is going to give me a pure extrait in a bottle. They're going to give me like the liquid juice, and it's going to cost me like $2,000, but I'm going to buy the pure extrait, and the pure extrait with like 2 sprays is going to last me like 10 hours, and I'm going to be like, I got the juice, and I'm going to be wearing that fragrance. Dean says hitting the 3-hour mark. Well, I got like 5% power. I'm not going to be able to hit that, and I got to go anyways. I'm on my phone, guys. This is how I like to roll, and I don't have good Wi-Fi around here, anyways. So I have a better camera on my phone, so y'all can actually see me out here. So you don't get to leave until I have my shopping cart of fragrance net filled. Okay, Casey, I got to help you really, really fast. What other fragrances are you looking for? What other fragrances do you need? Guerlain Vetiver is easy to recommend. There's an extreme version. If you like fougères, the Dulce de Verveins, the extreme version is great. If you have the money for $100 or $150, look at Amouage. If you want something sophisticated and easy to wear and very likable, versatile, Reflection Man is probably the golden child. I think it might be the more popular one out of the bunch right now. If you have that kind of money, I'm a big fan of Givenchy Zurius Rouge. I think it's one of the best modern kind of takes on a fougere DNA. It has a red rouge type of feel, and it has a beautiful cactus. And I love Givenchy Zurius Rouge. If you don't have pure malt in your collection and you've never experienced a Mugler fragrance, you might want to get that one. I think the Pure Vaughn sold out on FragranceNet last time I looked. And when you do your order, make sure you go online and search for. I think that they don't have a 37% code out right now. I could be wrong, but Google, and when I did my recent order, I found the 35% off. And if they only have a 20% off, you're getting ripped off. Find the 35% off and save another 10% on your order, my friend. Thanks for the cool info. Matt Strom says, happy to help you, my friend. I'm here for you. Thank you, Ben, for all that you do. I'm happy to help y'all. We're fragrance enthusiasts. We're crazy fragrance people. We're just addicted or just big enthusiasts about fragrances. And I'm happy that y'all are here for me, my fellow friends. I'm happy that we can talk about fragrances and be passionate about fragrance and be excited about exploring new fragrances. Again, nothing is wrong with mass appealing designer fragrances. I love finding a great fragrance for the money, but I do like exploring new fragrances and the creativity that indie and sometimes niche has to offer. But value for money, it's always going to be with the cheapies. There's always going to be something that doesn't get its just due. The Dunhill Century, the Jean Paul Gaultier's in the Navy, and some of these other fragrances don't get the justice they deserve, and they get underrepresented, and then they get discontinued. But then there's the liquidation, and the price is right, and you snag up a great deal. So Casey says, yeah, that's the code for the 35% off. Get a good deal. Don't get ripped off with the 25% off or whatever FragranceNet is trying to do to you. So don't you have a charger? I do have a charger, but I'm actually outside. I actually have an external charger, but I don't bring it out here. And I do like chatting with y'all and having a great time, but I don't know if I want to be on here like some of these guys like Joey Cannoli. Kudos to him. He's doing a cool thing, but I don't know if I want to be on here for like 5 hours, guys. I don't know if y'all want to hang out, with me for 5 hours, but 2 hours to me is a good conversation. But let me know. Do y'all want me to have longer lives? Do y'all want me to be out here for longer? You gotta let me know. Y'all humble me though. Y'all want to stick around and listen to this voice? Oh goodness. Anyways, any more questions? I gotta wrap it up. My phone is about to die on y'all. I know it will happen. I'm sure I have 5% or something. So I really do appreciate all of your friendship, everybody. And hopefully you found some fragrances, Casey. If you watch some of my reviews, I have other reviews. If I didn't answer or if I didn't help you enough, I have a cheapie list. I have fragrances. I have different top 10s. I have individual reviews. Yeah, longer, Dean. Okay, so you want to hear my be around? Okay, well I'll see what I can do in the future. Maybe I'll have to get on here a little bit earlier and see what I can do. So, but thanks for the support, everybody. Y'all stuck through with me and watched and stuck around for 2.5 hours. That's absolutely crazy. Y'all are certainly the Centaur Fragrance family. So anyways, if you do want to, I do put out a lot of other content on my Instagram. If y'all want to head over there, Centaur Fragrance as well. If you want to see more of me throughout the day, I do lives in the mornings on Instagram, and I post all kinds of stuff there. So hopefully y'all will check that out as well. I wish y'all the very best. Be safe, be careful, enjoy, your day tomorrow. Relax, take it easy. Yep, I have 5%. It's about to die. It just told me low battery message pop up. So I'll see everybody. Be safe, be careful. I know that you'll be smelling great. So wear what you love, rock what you got. I'll see you next time, everybody. It was a lot of fun tonight. We had a good one. I was running on all cylinders, even though I'm a little bit tired and I'm a little bit sweaty. Running on all cylinders tonight. So that was good. Mind's sharp. Stay sharp, my friends. I'll see you next time, everybody. And bye.